2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome into the Hick At Nite Show. Here's Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick At Nite. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. A very happy Sunday evening to you. Thank you for choosing part of your night to be spent with us right here on the Infinity Sports Network as the NFL regular season, it's crazy to think, is winding down to a close. This the final 3 weeks left of the regular season. Christmas is almost here. I don't know where the year's gone, but it is almost over. So we appreciate you joining us here. Kind of put a cap on what we've seen so far through Week 16 action here on this Sunday. One game left. Buccaneers at the Cowboys right now. Just got on the half. And Big D, Cowboys. How about this? Big surprise. Not mailing it in with their season officially being over earlier today when they were eliminated from the postseason. They're right now all over the Buccaneers. 23-14 is the score. Dallas is leading. That great offensive performance we saw from Tampa Bay last week against the Chargers has not shown up so far this week in Dallas. Cooper Rush, 226 yards passing and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb has already 100 yards in just the first half. He's been tremendous. Keep you updated on this game. If you're a Falcons fan, you are very invested in this game for sure, as you need the Buccaneers to lose in order to regain control of the NFC South again. So Falcons fans, don't worry. We'll keep you updated. NFL fans, fantasy fans, as the playoffs are here, we'll keep you updated on this game again at halftime. 23-14, Cowboys leading the Buccaneers. Let's though start tonight's show with what I think for me is the biggest game of the day, the most exciting game of the day, and that was the Commanders. In a great back and forth game, coming back to beat the Eagles 36-33. Here's what that game, at least what I take away from it, and it has to do with Jayden Daniels. I thought Jayden Daniels today proved he's not a franchise quarterback, he's a franchise changer. Because not only is he leading the Commanders now to the postseason, as they move to 10-5, inevitably going to make the 14-team field, he's also bringing respectability to this franchise for the first time in 30 years, would you say? Like he has been tremendous, and that continued again today. He reminds me so much of Andrew Luck because the perception of a franchise changes overnight just by their mere presence. With how we look and talk about the Commanders in present day and the future has changed drastically since Jayden Daniels was drafted number 2, just like how we talked about the Colts once Peyton Manning left and Andrew Luck came, drastically changed with the draft pick of one guy. It is very rare and very difficult to have one man change the trajectory of an entire franchise. Luck was able to do it, and you are seeing now Daniels do it here in Washington. It's incredible, truly incredible what he's able to achieve. And I thought, to me, he stamped one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen with his performance today. He throws for 5 touchdowns, combined for 339 yards of total offense, and led the Commanders to 36 points, which, by the way, most of the Eagles have ever allowed this season. They're the number 1 defense in all of the NFL. They have been really stout and really stingy, and Daniels carved them up. Absolutely carved them up. And for me, the most impressive part of his game, it wasn't the stats I just read you. It was his resiliency. Because in this game, the Commanders turned the ball over 5 times. Daniels himself had 2 interceptions, the second of which should have ended the game. Right, just over 2 minutes to go, you throw the pick. That should be game over. We just saw last week the Eagles run out the final 10 minutes of the clock against the Steelers to ice that game. Even though Jalen Hurts was not there and Kenny Pickett was in, I thought once the interception went down, all right, Eagles winning this game. They're going to run the clock out like they've done really all season long. And the Commanders, good season, still have a good chance to make the playoffs, but their hopes of getting a good win here, come from behind win, are all for naught. And to get a stop, to get Daniels the ball back and have him deliver and drive down the field was nothing short of incredible. Nothing short of impressive. And now this is a guy that, even though he's a rookie and still does not have a ton of accomplishments to lean on, right? He doesn't have a ton of confidence in the sense of you can lean on, I've done this before, I know I can do it. Despite throwing the 2 picks, despite throwing, again, that interception that should have sealed the deal, and watching the Commanders as a team turn the ball over 5 times, he never became gun-shy. He never got cautious with the football and played not to lose. He still kept that gunslinger mentality, which is the reason why the Commanders were able to drive down the field and win today, reason why they've been able to drive down the field and win previous games as well. He has come out big late in the fourth quarter of multiple games for Washington. It's not a coincidence. This is a guy that thrives in the big moment, thrives when the pressure's on. He actually talked about it after the game. Jayden Daniels lives for these moments. Take a listen to what he said post-game.
I love those type of situations. Those are when it's on thin ice and plays need to be made. That's what you live for. If you really love this sport, you live for those big time moments where it comes down to the end. Everything's to get you back against the wall. Will you respond?
He's like, when you have that mindset, either you have it or you don't. And clearly we see Jayden Daniels has it. So just add it to the list by another really impressive game of what has been one of the best rookie regular seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback. So I think at this point, the Rookie of the Year debate is over. No disrespect to Brock Bowers, Bo Nix, great seasons. The Rookie of the Year debate is over. It is Jayden Daniels' award. But I want to take it a step further here. I think Jayden Daniels should be in the MVP race. I think he has a legitimate case to win MVP because he is literally the definition of what that award stands for. Most valuable player. Look at the value he's added to this team. He helped guide the Commanders to at least their first 10-win season since 2012. Let's take it a step further. Their final 2 games here. At home against the Falcons, at the Cowboys. Hot take for you, they're going to at least win 1 more game. They are going to get to 11. Why is that important? The Commanders, formerly Redskins, right, that entire Washington franchise, they have not won more than 10 games in a regular season since 1991, the last year they won a Super Bowl. He could take this organization to a level they haven't been in 30 years. And he's also now taken this offense with, by the way, most of the same pieces, right? And Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, a lot of these pieces at receiver, running back, offensive line have been here for a few years now. He has taken this offense and himself elevated it to where you're looking at the fourth best offense in terms of points per game in all the league. So this is a guy that is bringing value to the team, where that's what truly the award is about, value added. There are not many players that have added more value this year than Jayden Daniels and what he's added to the Commanders. I mean, again, on top of the stats, on top of the offensive production, on top of the wins, he has helped bring a level of respectability and competency that has been missing from this franchise for a long time. That should mean something. Lamar Jackson has way better stats, right? And the Ravens have a better record. But with that said, I think the value that Daniels has brought, I think, should be in the mix. Same thing with Josh Allen. The numbers for Allen are better. The numbers for Lamar are better. But their teams are also pretty good. You know, they weren't picking number 2 in the draft last year like Washington was. They have talent around them. Daniels is elevating a team that's not been very good for a while now. I think he's a real MVP case. I think when you're talking about this award, it is Josh Allen, it is Lamar Jackson, it is Jayden Daniels, and if you want to put Saquon Barkley in there, you can put Saquon Barkley in there. I think it's a 4-person race for this MVP award. And I don't think either of Josh or Lamar right now could argue they have uplifted their team the way Jayden has uplifted the Commanders this season. This has been a storybook season so far, and I think, again, stamped by how he's able to come back and the way the Commanders are able to brush off 5 turnovers, put 36 points on the board here against the best defense in the league, and get a big-time home victory. When you look at the season Jayden Daniels has had, I think he's in the MVP conversation. I think he has to be in that conversation, because if we're talking about value, not just best player on the best team, but truly living out what that award means, most valuable player, Daniels has brought so much value that very little players around the rest of the NFL could argue with. Even listen to Terry McLaurin. Right, he's seen a lot. He's been around this league a lot. He's seen a lot of a bad quarterback play, unfortunate for him. He talked after the game how impressive Daniels has been in this rookie year.
Man, he's so poised. No matter if we're making plays or we're missing plays, he just has a way to stay even keel that I've never seen that from a rookie at any position, let alone quarterback. And he has utmost confidence in the guys around him. He has a way of just making the right plays when it's time.
He does. He is truly a rare breed of quarterback that we have not seen, especially as a rookie, that's able to transform a franchise overnight just by his presence. Right? Most quarterbacks need help, and that's okay. That is more than okay. What you're asking a quarterback to do and to basically turn the trajectory around of an entire franchise is unfair and mostly unrealistic. Very few are capable of actually doing it. Most need help in terms of good coaching, good players around them, good culture. Maybe that was already set before they got there, right? Like, you can't draft a quarterback and expect them to basically say, hey, look, we've been garbage for a while, turn us to gold. 99% of the time, that's going to fail. This is one of the rare cases where you're seeing a quarterback come in here and single-handedly turn a franchise around both on and off the field. Jayden Daniels has been outstanding, another big-time performance today. And I think now, through 15 games, when you talk about Jayden Daniels this season, forget just Rookie of the Year conversation. We have to now put him in the MVP conversation. So that's where I want to start tonight's show at 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Do you think Jayden Daniels has a case to an MVP? Should he be in the discussion along with Lamar, along with Josh Allen, along with Saquon Barkley? Is there a case, in your opinion, for Jayden Daniels to an MVP? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey, and the number 3 on Twitter. And also you can chat in our YouTube chat, which can be found on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page, which is where we are streaming tonight's show and every show here on Sunday nights on that page. So you can watch and comment as well. So 855-212-4227. Do you think Jayden Daniels has a case for MVP. We'll get your thoughts here on the show. Second half in Dallas has resumed. Again, the Cowboys have a 23-14 lead. We're just about 2 minutes or so in. Buccaneers do have the ball. Again, this is a big game here for the Bucs. They right now at 8-6 need to win in order to control their destiny in terms of winning the NFC South. They got swept by the Falcons earlier this season. So if the Buccaneers lose, now all of a sudden the Falcons went out. They are NFC South champions. So if you're Tampa Bay here, it basically is a win out, and you're in situation when it comes to winning the division and hosting a home playoff game. But because you lost those 2 games earlier to Atlanta, your margin for error here is very little. This is against a Dallas team that has nothing to play for. Their playoff hopes are dead. Cooper Rush has been out, he's at quarterback. This defense has been leaky. You got to win here. They have the ball. The Buccaneers do. They just got a first down here. They are driving, again, 2.5 or so minutes into this third quarter. A lot of time. Cowboys 23, Buccaneers 14. Keep you updated on that game, and also we'll take your thoughts here as well on the MVP case for one Jayden Daniels after another big-time performance leading to the first 10-win season for Washington since 2012, which ironically enough was the last time a really good rookie quarterback has come into Washington. That was RG3's rookie year. So he won the Rookie of the Year award. When we do return here, speaking of rookies, let's stay in the NFC and go from one rookie quarterback to another. I'll tell you why. The Atlanta Falcons were proven right by drafting Michael Penix. We'll do that when we do return. It is Hick at Nite. Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night.
I just want to first say that you guys always entertain me. I'm a bartender. I always drive home at night. I love you guys. You always entertain.
Here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Appreciate you joining us here on this Sunday evening, week 16, at least up for Sunday, almost in the books. Tell you, I'll give a lot of credit here to Dallas. This Cowboys team, who's officially eliminated from the postseason earlier today. Now, again, I mean, who thought this team was going to make a run to the playoffs anyway? So that exactly did not come as a shock. But they really, they have no reason to play hard. You could argue, and probably should argue, they are incentivized to lose every game throughout this the rest of the string here and get the best draft pick possible. They are playing hard tonight. And I'll give Mike McCarthy a lot of credit. I think it's easy to bang on McCarthy, and I do it a lot here as well. I think he leaves a lot to be desired as a head coach. But to his credit, he still has the ear of the locker room. These guys are playing hard. They're flying out here. This defense almost just got a strip sack of Baker Mayfield. He was tackled. Ball came loose. Now, the Cowboys initials were ruled recovery on the field, but then they ruled the Cowboys defender did not maintain control in bounds. So it was just ruled then a fumble going out of bounds, which set up you ready for this? 3rd and 40 for Tampa Bay. The play just happened. This is going to be crazy. You're going to be very surprised to hear the Buccaneers did not convert on 3rd and 40. I know, shocking, upset. But now the Buccaneers got the ball down by 9 to start the second half, and they're forced to punt. Good stand here by Dallas's defense. They're flying around, confusing Baker Mayfield. They have pretty much done a good job at limiting Mike Evans so far. And you look at this offense for Dallas that's moving again. We told you CeeDee Lamb already has over 100 yards in the first half. They're playing well. They're playing tough. They're playing like there's something on the line. The Buccaneers are the desperate team here. They have to win to maintain control of their destiny to win the NFC South. They have a lot on the line here. Dallas has nothing to play for. Quarterback's been hurt. Season's over. And they're out here playing so far. I mean, to this point, considering the opponent, this is their best game of the year so far. Now, a long way to go. There's 9 minutes to go here in the third quarter. They're up by 9. So we can see, defense get a quick stop, maybe force a turnover. Tampa Bay scores right back in this game. Long way from being over. But credit to Tampa Bay. They are here to play. Credit to Dallas. They are here to play. I did not expect that. I would not have blamed the Cowboys for mailing it in and just kind of laying down and getting blown out by Tampa, which I thought would happen going into this game. Credit to them here. Again, long way to go. 9 minutes to go here in quarter number 3. Cowboys up over the Bucs, 23-14. Cowboys with the ball on their own 35-yard line, 1st and 10. We'll continue to keep you updated on this game. So today we are not only, and we started the show by talking about Jayden Daniels and his tremendous game. 5 touchdowns, over 300 yards of total offense, was able to put up 36 points against an Eagles defense that has not allowed that amount all season long. They're the number 1 defense in the league. They've played excellent since their bye week back in week number 4. And even though they turned the ball over 5 times in this game, Jayden Daniels comes through when he has to the most, like he's done almost every single time this season. I feel like I'm watching Andrew Luck, not in the style of play, but with his ability to inspire a franchise just by his mere presence. And so while I think today Daniels locked up Rookie of the Year, I think we got to take a step further here. We got to put him in the MVP conversation. He is firmly there with the likes of Lamar and Josh Allen fighting for this award. That to me is how much of an impact and how much value he truly has created to this Commanders team, where they won 10 games for the first time since 2012 and looking with at least one more win here to win at least 11 games for the first time since 1991. He is doing things we have not seen accomplished in Washington in a very long time, and I think he deserves recognition for it in the case of MVP consideration. 855-212-4227. Would you put Jayden Daniels right now in the MVP conversation? I would. If you wouldn't, let me hear your explanation why. 855-212-4227. Again, on Twitter as well, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. And on YouTube, Infinity Sports Network is where we are streaming, so you can watch and also comment on the show as well. Another rookie quarterback I thought played well today, made his NFL debut, at least I should say his starting debut, and that was Michael Penix Jr. of the Falcons. And I think now with this official supplanting that we saw of Penix coming in and Kirk Cousins out, and you get the reports this week as well that it's all but a guarantee that the Falcons are going to cut Kirk Cousins at some point before his March 17th bonus is due, that this is now Michael Penix Jr.'s team. And I think now that we have come to this conclusion, we can officially say the Atlanta Falcons were proven right after drafting Michael Penix Jr. after they signed Kirk Cousins. Because what they did was, I think, what smart organizations should do. And that is they tried to ensure themselves as much as possible they were going to get the quarterback position right. And how you do that is by giving yourself options. Kirk didn't work. You tried a big swing in free agency with a guy who's done it before, has a good track record, and at least you thought you can get yourself to the playoffs and there, roll the dice with Kirk. That gamble did not pay off. Okay, fine. You live with that, and you can move on quicker for a guy that's not working because you were able to draft a backup plan and give yourself options. It's really no different than dating. Right? If you are single right now listening to us, male or female, I'm sure it's all kind of the same, right? It's maybe tough to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It's hard to land the one. But you give yourself the best option of doing that, or the best chance of doing that, I should say, by doing what? Going on multiple dates. Right? Kind of testing out the waters. I've been broken up with a bunch. I have. I don't really break up with girls. They usually break up with me. Thankfully, my girlfriend currently has not done that. Now we've been dating happily for 7 years or so. She's really the only one that is delusional enough to not break up with me. But as Christians play the drop, it's true. I'm used to it. So I know what it's like to be single. And let me tell you, you need options. That's the best chance of landing a true, or at least the best chance of trying to find the one. Go out multiple dates, Tuesday with this person, Wednesday with that person, see what the vibes are, compare and contrast. And eventually, if it's a numbers game, eventually, if you're out there enough, I think you will find the one. I don't think trying to find a quarterback is no different. When you don't have the guy, right? If you're a team without a franchise quarterback looking to get a franchise quarterback, the best thing you can do when you don't have the guy is to be in the best position possible to pivot to get the guy whenever you need to. And that is giving yourself options, leaving yourself flexibility, whether it's draft capital, whether it's salary cap, doing whatever it takes, not getting tied down in a bad quarterback contract, not chasing a bad quarterback in the draft just because you have to draft a quarterback. The Falcons gave themselves options of landing a franchise quarterback by signing Kirk in the offseason, then loving Penix so much that they said, we got to have him. I give the Falcons a lot of credit because I'm sure once they signed Kirk, they did not plan on drafting a quarterback as well. They thought Kirk would be their short-term fix for 2 or 3 years, and they could try to chase a Super Bowl possibly in the NFC. And then the more they dug in on Penix, the more they looked at his tape, they realized, we got to have this guy. We like him so much. And I think if you're the Falcons, you did the right thing of saying, you know what, we're not going to pass on a guy that we truly like, that we think is one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class, just because we signed a 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. We got to give ourselves only to Kirk. I know it's unorthodox, but I think if you're the Falcons here, you're going to reap the benefits of signing a quarterback to a big-time contract in the offseason and then drafting his replacement days later, it felt like, hours later. But now you give yourself the flexibility to where you're not locked in on Kirk. Like, imagine if they didn't draft Michael Penix Jr. Now you're stuck with Kirk Cousins. You don't really have many options to trade or to sign another quarterback in this offseason. So you're probably running back with him next year. You're too far away to draft a quarterback, and you're going to, more likely than not, just hope Kirk works. And guess what? Hope is not a plan when it comes to getting the quarterback right. If you hope something works out, you're going to fail. You're absolutely going to fail. So I give the Falcons a lot of credit for pulling the trigger and saying, you know what? We like this guy. We got to give ourselves options, and we feel confident enough that one of these two guys will work out. Either Kirk plays well, we keep Penix on the bench for a year, 2 years, 3 years, as Kirk is playing at a high level. But if not, if he struggles like he did, and he's struggling a lot sooner than I thought he would, and I'm sure the Falcons thought he would, but now you have the ability to where you can go to Penix, still try to save your season, and still have your future bright, and have another option of getting it right. I'd much rather have 2 shots at getting it right than 1, especially when the 1 shot would have just been an older Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury with questions about his playoff performance to begin with. Falcons did it right. And I think they're going to benefit from the strategy because you're going to see as the season goes along here, whether it's the end of this year and next year as well, Penix is good, man. He is really damn good. I loved him coming out of Washington. He's insanely accurate, really good arm, very experienced as a 5-year starter between Indiana and Washington, so he's seen a lot. He's played well in some high-level games. He took the Huskies last year to the national title game. Like, he's, as long as he can stay healthy, which he did with the Huskies, in his 2 years as a starter, did not miss a game. As long as he can stay healthy, I think he's going to flourish in this offense. Where you saw Drake London get involved, Bijan Robinson felt more explosive. Like, there are weapons that he can take advantage of that Kirk was struggling with. So I think now, if you're the Falcons, you're, I think, really going to benefit from this ability of giving yourself 2 options to get it right. And I think you were proven right because that gamble with Kirk was far from a guarantee. It's not like you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow on your team where it's like, okay, we feel really good about our quarterback. We don't have to think about that position anytime soon. Again, Kirk, I thought, would lead them to win the division bare minimum. Hell, I predicted the Falcons to go 14-3 this year. I was in on Kirk. I was in on this Falcons offense. I thought this would be a great marriage. But it was not a guarantee. Clearly, I was wrong. But the Falcons now are not screwed. They still are alive. Their future is still bright in large part because of this gamble they took in drafting Michael Penix Jr. And now I think you're going to see them benefit from that gamble. You can move off of Kirk, get him off the roster, still build around Penix, and feel like your future is still very much taken care of. Penix was solid today. I thought he looked in command. I thought he displayed good accuracy. Again, the numbers aren't eye-popping. The offense wasn't eye-popping. You had 2 touchdowns from the defense that helped break this game open against the Giants. Giants stink anyway. But I thought what you saw from Penix was a good first start and a good little glimpse at why his future, and I think the Falcons' future, is so bright. Falcons, I thought today, were proven right. There's a lot of criticism for the draft pick at the time. I was shocked. I did not see it coming. A lot of people thought it was a bad move. But if you're a team, and we see how easy it is to miss at quarterback, like how many, would you say 6, 7 teams, maybe 8, maybe a quarter of the league feels good about their quarterback, right? And that could be stretching. Feels like you have the guy. We don't have to worry about quarterback here for the next 5 or so years. We're good. So we're talking about 75% of the league does not feel that way about their quarterback for different reasons. Age, health, salary, their performance in the playoffs, whatever. So if you're the Falcons, why would you put all your eggs in one basket? When you clearly like the guy like they did in Penix, take the risk. I think when you go bold at quarterback whether it's trading for someone, whether it's cutting someone, drafting someone, you see bold moves paid off. Though the Broncos went for Russell Wilson, didn't work out. Bold move by incurring the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history by cutting Russ. They cut him, they drafted Bo Nix, and guess what? They're feeling pretty damn good about where their future's headed. I think the Falcons can feel similarly here with trying to take a swing on Kirk, not working, and now sliding Penix in. I think now if you're the Falcons, you feel good about where your future is headed. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return here on the show, we have some Appropri-Hick reactions for Week 16, including the biggest winner today. It was not a team. It was a division. I'll tell you who and why when we do return. Up though first, we had a score change on Sunday Night Football. Here to tell you all about it with the latest sports update is Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And this report sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Let's begin with Sunday Night Football. They're in the third quarter. In Arlington, the Cowboys lead the Buccaneers 26-14. Cooper Rush has thrown for 262 yards and a touchdown. Now to Seattle, where the Vikings trail the Seahawks in the fourth quarter.
First and 10 from the Seattle 39. 3:58 to go. Seattle leads by 4 in the fourth quarter. Sam steps up. Sam throws left. Caught! Jefferson! Touchdown! Yes! Sam, the man on the fan, finds the moneymaker Justin Jefferson. And the Vikings have taken a 26-24 lead.
Paul Allen, Vikings Radio. Vikings over the Seahawks 27-24. Now to Landover. Commanders trailing the Eagles in the final seconds of the fourth quarter.
Second and goal at the 10. Snap to Daniels. Eagles break 4. Into the middle of the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington! Jameson Crowder! Amazing! Clutch football from the Washington offense! They've done it again!
That was Bram Weinstein on Commanders Radio. And the Commanders beat the Eagles 36-33. Elsewhere, Dolphins 29, Niners 17, Raiders over the Jaguars 19-14, Bills 24, Patriots 21, Rams over the Jets 19-9, Colts 38, Titans 30, Lions beat the Bears 34-17, Panthers over the Cardinals 36-30 in overtime. It was the Falcons over the Giants 34-7, and the Bengals beat the Browns 24-6. NBA in overtime, Nuggets beat the Pelicans 132-129. Rockets top the Raptors 114-110. The Pacers over the Kings 122-95. I'm Peter Schwartz.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going, man? Always love your show. When I hear you, I got to pull over, man, because you just are spitting out some crazy facts, man. Just love your work, sir.
Here's Ryan Hickey.
Trading field goals here on Sunday Night Football. 26-17 Cowboys up right now over the Buccaneers. 30 seconds to go here in quarter number 3. So still a two-possession game. A 9-point game here for Dallas, and they're getting the ball back. It's starting to get a little late here. If you're the Bucs, you got to start putting the ball in the end zone. Dallas' defense has done a really good job tonight of flustering Baker, getting after him, making him get the ball out sooner than he wants to. Even a few plays down the field, there's just a nice play in the break where defender for Dallas put a big hit on Mike Evans down the field, jarred the ball loose as Baker chucked it down there trying to get something going. Dallas' defense, they are playing excellent. Spirited effort. They're playing well so far. The offense is solid as well. This has been an all-around a very good game for the Cowboys. And again, the Buccaneers need to win this game in order to control their destiny going forward here to win the NFC South and get a home playoff game. And by the way, in an NFC that is really shaping up to be deep and tough. We'll get more into this in the top of hour number 2, so just about 20 minutes or so, maybe less than that. As we talk about now, with the Eagles losing, that number 1 seed is really going to come down to the Lions or the Vikings. Who's going to get it? I'll tell you here in about, let's call it 17 minutes or so here on the show. Also later in the show, I want to do a little sports Festivus, an airing of grievances. So if you have a grievance against a player, a team, I want to hear about it. I'll give you some of mine here as well a little bit later on. As Patrick Hall does tweet at Ryan_Hickey and the number 3, San Francisco will not go to the playoffs, and everyone thought they would go to the Super Bowl. I don't know the context. Like, technically, yes, you're right. They were my Super Bowl champion. They were officially eliminated from the playoffs today. Not that, again, anyone thought they were still alive, but mathematically, they were still alive. They were eliminated earlier today. I don't know if that's a sports grievance. It's just kind of a statement. So thank you, Patrick, for contributing that to the show.
Maybe the grievance was the hype.
I guess maybe, although would you say was the hype not warranted before the year?
Hey, man, I'm a big psychological side analyst when it comes to sports, and everyone on that team was talking about how they knew this might be their last ride. Now, if everyone on a team knows it's their last ride together, it's either going to go really well and you'll get a Jordan-esque last dance, or you'll realize why guys like Michael Jordan are so special, and you get a team of guys ready to jump ship, take each other's shirts off each other's backs just because they're a little chilly. And I don't know, and an injury's got in the way, but hey, man.
That's, at least for me, I think injuries are the biggest reason for their downfall. I still think Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. I was a little disappointed with Brock Purdy's play. I was hoping for him to play a little bit better than he did this year. But like, I think for me, I think the future's still bright. I'm not jumping ship in terms of them being a Super Bowl contender. But at least going into the year, right, if you want to get upset, and maybe that's what, to your point, Chris, maybe that's what Patrick was upset about, the hype about the 49ers going into the year. They did just come off the Super Bowl. They've been in 3 of the last 4 NFC title games. They're still a loaded roster. I would not say that the grievance could be the hype surrounding the 49ers. They did not live up to it. They, like I said, injuries now have really ended the season a lot earlier than anybody would have ever thought. I don't think many people were sitting there saying that they're going to miss the playoffs. Here they are. But thank you, Patrick, for bringing that here to the show. You want to tweet me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. That is the handle to do it. All right. Easy to react, right, on an NFL Sunday. A lot going on. A lot easy to get caught up in your feelings. And so especially since we're, for the most part, probably the first like breakdown radio show you're listening to, we're talking about the national NFL action, easy to overreact to everything we saw today and be a prisoner of the moment. We're not going to do that, though. We're going to give you some proper reactions to what we saw here in week number 16. We call them Appropri-Hick reactions.
Another NFL Sunday is in the books, and Ryan is here to make sense of what we just saw. It's time for Appropri-Hick reactions.
First, Appropri-Hick reaction. The biggest winner today was the NFC North, because the Eagles lost, which really opens the door for the number 1 seed to go to either the Lions or the Vikings. Now, that's really it here. Unless either lose out, which I do not foresee happening, the Eagles really have no chance. I think they have technically it's like a 4% chance of getting the number 1 seed. Their hopes are done. By losing today to the Commanders, they're done. So now, I mean, you look at the schedule here, all of a sudden, that Week 18 game is shaping up to be a winner-take-all, if you will. Vikings at the Lions, where the winner is going to win the NFC North, assuming both could take care of business next week. Lions at the 49ers. Packers are coming to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Assuming both teams win their games in Week 17, we are looking at a Week 18 winner-take-all in the sense of winner wins the division and winner has home field advantage and gets a bye in the playoffs. Huge. The stakes are massive for that game in Detroit. Big for the NFC North, because I think both teams, the Lions and the Vikings, need home field more than the Eagles do. So One of them looks like he's going to get it here as well. Biggest winner I thought today was Eagles losing. That was to the benefit of both the Lions and Vikings. All right, here's another Appropri-Hick reaction. We could stop. Now, thankfully it's dissipated. I think we could put a full stop now to any concern or talk and discussion of Jared Goff playing in the elements. Look at what he did today in the chilliness of Chicago. He won a calm 23-32 for 336 yards, 3 touchdowns. Earlier this year, went into Lambeau Field. Now, not as cold as, we've seen the frozen tundra get, but still chillier day, raining, wet, soggy. Played well in that game as well. He can play in the elements. Like, if the Lions are going to lose in the postseason, it's not going to be because Jared Goff can't play in the cold. That narrative was around for a while. We can officially call it dead. This is a guy that can play in the elements. If it gets nasty out, he can perform just fine. I'm not worried about Goff and the weather whatsoever. Now, what was also cool about this game is we learned a new term and a new play. The Lions ran a play called the stumble bump, which, at least for me, at first blush, I thought it was just a freak play where Jared Goff was under center. And as soon as he got the ball, he acted like he was going to fall to the ground. And Jahmyr Gibbs also acted like he was tripping and slipped on the grass and fell down. This was by design to fool the defense. It worked. Sam Laporta was open for a 21-yard touchdown on the play. Listen to Jared Goff talk about where this idea came from and how it was able to work out.
At first, it started on Monday with Ben asking me if he thought I could actually fumble on purpose and pick it back up. I was like, I don't know about that. And we kind of got off that pretty quickly, and we're like, let's just pretend we're falling or pretend I'm fumbling and I'm holding on to the ball. And I think the part that Gibbs where he dives really sells the play. I'm only doing half of it, but it worked. It worked like a charm, and it was nice to score there.
And I've seen more on social media. The genesis of this for Ben Johnson came from a fact that he was watching, I think it was a Packers-Bears game, I believe it was, last year, 2 years ago. And Jordan Love, on accident, dropped the snap, and it sounded like the defense went into a flurry, where all of a sudden everyone kind of lost their man and just started looking at the ball as Love was trying to pick it up and kind of get the play back on track. So that's why you hear Jared Goff saying, hey, can we actually fumble this? That's crazy. But that's the creativity that I love from Ben Johnson and this Lions offense, and that's why we'll get to this a little bit later on. If you're the Bears, you better throw the moon, the sun, the stars, everything towards Ben Johnson to get him on your team. That is the creativity that has been lacking in Chicago. That is the creativity I think this Bears offense desperately needs. Feather in the cap yet again of Ben Johnson, who just is continuing to show how impressive he is with his creativity here. Drawing up a play, calling it the stumble bump, having a work to perfection. Finally here, third and final Appropri-Hick reaction. I think the current playoff field, as it is, will be the playoff field that we see when the playoffs actually are set here after Week 18. I think the 14 teams currently holding on to postseason spots will be the teams that we see in the playoffs. Because really, for the most part, there are only a few races still left here. For the AFC wild card, right, it's down to really the Chargers, the Broncos, and then there's a little hope for the Dolphins, Colts, and Bengals. In order for that to happen, in order for any chaos to happen here in the AFC, for either the Chargers or the Broncos to fall out of the playoff mix, they have to lose out. And for the Broncos, that's at Cincinnati and then home against Kansas City. By that time, by the way, the Chiefs are the win next week or Bills' loss, lock up the number one seed of nothing to play for. So by Week 18, they may rest their starters completely or may play Mahomes and co. a quarter, a half. I think if you're the Broncos, I think they go into Cincinnati and win next week. I don't like the Bengals defense at all. Don't trust them. But I don't see the Broncos in this 2-game stretch at the Bengals, home against the Chiefs, losing 2 in a row. Chargers need to lose out their last 2 games at the Patriots, at the Raiders. That didn't happen. I know right now the Buccaneers are down by 9. I think they'll come back and win. I think Baker will do enough to get this win here. Reason why that's important is because right now the Falcons, their only hope of getting the playoffs is by winning the NFC South. And by doing that, they need the Buccaneers to lose this game in order to be able to control going forward here their destiny. The Falcons would control the NFC South with a loss by the Buccaneers tonight. I think Tampa Bay will come back. And then if you look at outside of that, the only other division race up for grabs, NFC West. Rams need to just win one of the next two games against the Cardinals or Seahawks in order for that division to change hands and have one of those teams, which would be the Seahawks, looking right now on the outside looking in to make a playoff run if the Rams go 0-2, which again, I don't think they will. When you look at is Washington right now holding on to that final spot in the NFC? They need to basically lose 2 straight to the Falcons and Cowboys in order to miss the playoffs. The Packers need to lose 3 in a row starting tomorrow night against the Saints with no Alvin Kamara. You look at the scenarios to where right now a team, either in the AFC or the NFC, that is outside of the playoff picture, what they need to happen in order to get in, I think it's extremely unlikely. I think the 14 teams we have right now that are occupying playoff spots in the AFC and the NFC, those will be the 14 teams we see come playoff time here in a few weeks. Those are some Appropri-Hick reactions for Week 16 of this NFL season. When we do return here on the show, let's get into that NFC race for the number 1 seed. Eagles lose, opening it up for a Lions-Vikings race. One of those teams will get the number 1 seed, get home field advantage, and get a bye in the playoffs. Who's going to get it? I'll tell you when we do return. It is Ryan Hickey, Hick at Nite with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome in to the Hick at Night Show. Here's Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. A chilly evening. The cold freeze is here. It sucks. Walking to work today, the subways are all rerouted here in New York City in the weekends. Always a lot of, construction. So normal subways I take are kind of rerouted. So I got off the subway a little bit further away than I normally do. It's about a block or so walk normally from the normal subway station that I'll get off. I had to come down here to work. Today, the one I usually take was rerouted. So again, I had to walk about, it was about a 10-minute or so walk. And normally I like that, honestly. Stretch the legs out, see the city, kind of breathe some fresh air. Usually on most Sundays, I'm just inside all day watching a lot of these games. So, okay, this is a nice way to be outside, enjoy a little Mother Nature, spread the legs out, get some, blood flowing. Today, there was not one of those days. I enjoyed an extra long walk than normal. The real feels like 9 degrees. Wind is whipping. It is so cold no matter how much you layer up, still not enough. Oh, God. And winter's really just starting, too. That's the most depressing part. Still have January, still have February. At least here in the Northeast, at least half of March. Most of March is kind of crappy and cold. Oh, enough. Hate the cold. So if you are right now in a cold weather climate and cold like I am, we'll appreciate you powering through. We'll try to warm you up here as much as we can on the Infinity Sports Network. Speaking of warming up, Baker Mayfield is banged up right now. Going into the medical tent, he was ragdolled around on a sack. He's been sacked 4 times tonight by the Cowboys defense. But on the latest sack, he was kind of twisted around and slammed down to the ground. Very slow in getting up. Off, he kind of holding his couldn't tell if it was his ribs, his chest. He stayed in to finish the drive. The Buccaneers just punted here, so the Cowboys are getting the ball back up by 9. And now Baker Mayfield has entered the blue tent. So things are going from bad to worse right now for the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield banged up. When we get you an update on his status, we'll pass that along with you. But right now, he's in the blue tent getting checked out as the Buccaneers down by 9 here in the fourth quarter with just over 9 minutes to go. Time is ticking. And if you have to see Kyle Trask finish this game out, boy, things go from bad to worse here for the Buccaneers. Keep you updated on that game and how it does go here. But when you look at what we saw earlier today, again, with the Eagles losing, now it opens up the race for the number 1 seed. And it's really a 2-team race between the Vikings and the Lions. And up to this point, I have refused to put the Vikings in the same category as Detroit. I have refused to call Minnesota a Super Bowl contender. For those that know me, you know this is true, but maybe this is your first time listening. You'll find this out pretty quickly here. And you guys, my girlfriend, she knows. I am pretty stubborn. I am slow to come around on things. I am also slow to let go of things. So, for example, for a while, I was still in on the 49ers. They were struggling for a large part of the year. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I believed in their roster and their coaching. It took me a while to finally let go of, probably not the 49ers year this year. On the flip side here, I thought the Vikings would finish dead last in the division. I thought Sam Darnold would just continue from what, the Sam Darnold we've seen with the Jets and Carolina, not be very good. This team would be far behind, I should say, the Lions. I was high on the Bears, so that they make the playoffs. The Packers. And then we'd see the Vikings here finish fourth. And it took me a while to kind of come around and, okay, the Vikings are good. Sam Darnold's good. They're a playoff team. And now I finally will admit, the Vikings are a Super Bowl contender. I've tried to hold off for a while. And I've liked what I've seen for a large part of this year from Sam Darnold. But now I'm finally at the point where we're 15 or 16 weeks through this. You keep watching the consistency Sam Darnold plays with. The grit that I thought he especially showed today, where you see the composure, his willingness to fight through injury, his ability to come up clutch in the fourth quarter. I loved what I saw from Sam Darnold today. You see how this defense plays, even with some injuries. You see how Kevin O'Connell, how well he coaches his team. I can't sit around anymore and not have the Lions in the same category I can't have the Vikings in the same category as the Lions anymore. They are absolutely in the same category. They are Super Bowl contenders. I think Sam Darnold absolutely should earn your trust by this point. Again, just look at today as I think a great example. Got off to a hot start. Things are rolling up early, 17-7 in the first half. You think Minnesota can blow out Seattle and really keep on cruising. All of a sudden, Seattle started coming back. That defense played better. Sam Darnold started to struggle a little bit. That offense for Minnesota got bogged down. What they got early in the game was not all of a sudden coming as easy anymore. And now you see all of a sudden comebacks here by Seattle. Geno Smith throws a touchdown pass about 9 minutes or so to go. Gives Seattle the lead. You're thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a catastrophic loss for Minnesota here in a game which they controlled early on the road, took the crowd out of it, and they allowed them to get back in and allowed Geno Smith to get back in this game and make enough plays to win it. And I loved what I saw from Sam Darnold. Again, the grittiness in suffering an ankle injury, still hobbling out there, limping through it, and making plays. The clutchness. Well, you're down with 5 minutes to go here. This may be your last shot. You got to come through. And his credit here, coming through, making some tough throws, making that great throw to Justin Jefferson for what ended up being the game-winning touchdown. I thought he showed the composure in a big moment. I thought he showed the right decision-making, the toughness. You need your quarterback to show, and not only to win games like this, but I think to win games in the playoffs where nothing is going to come easy. You're going to go through swings of emotions, of you're riding high, and then all of a sudden you're riding low. And, man, can we figure this out? Never wavered, still remained aggressive. But, again, regressive. But with Sam Darnold, we've seen him be aggressive and had that lead to a lot of interceptions. Be smart with his decision-making as well. And so we're seeing a lot with Sam Darnold where I think at this point, through 16 weeks, there's no waiting for the other shoe to drop. This is the Sam Darnold that I think we're going to see in the postseason, the same one we've seen now through the first 16 weeks of the year. He is, I think, a franchise quarterback. We've talked about it on the show before. I think the Vikings should sign him. I would put J.J. McCarthy in the back burner, and I would make sure Darnold is not leaving Minnesota anytime soon. I would absolutely try my best to keep him there because I think he is proving to you week in and week out he is absolutely capable, I should say, of leading the Vikings on a deep postseason run. And I think what we saw today also is a reason why when those two teams play in Week 18, I think Minnesota's winning. I think the Vikings are getting the number one seed in the NFC. In part because what we've seen from Sam Darnold, in part because you see the formula for this defense led by Brian Flores. They're aggressive in getting after the quarterback and forcing turnovers. Top 5 in both categories. And those are two things that change momentum and help win playoff games. Big sacks, big turnovers. That's what this Viking team does. They're a little bit banged up. No Harrison Smith missing some safeties in the secondary that Geno was able to take advantage of. But I loved what you saw in the sense of the response once Sam Darnold got that touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson. Once Minnesota was able to break through and get the lead back after losing it, what you're seeing Minnesota's defense do? Respond with an interception, game over. They came through when it mattered most. Got after Geno when it mattered most. Made a play to win the game. And that's what they do. That's what this team does. All they do is make plays when the game is on the line. They now, since 2021, they have won 31 one-score games, most in the NFL. It's not a fluke. I remember thinking in 2022 when they, with Kirk Cousins and they had that incredible comeback over the Bills. Remember where Josh Allen fumbled by the goal line, that insane one-handed Justin Jefferson catch? That was one of the all-time classics from that 2022 season. But you see how Minnesota won that game and coming back to beat the Colts down 33-0 at halftime, the biggest comeback in NFL history. Like you saw the ways that Minnesota was able to win some of these close games, these one-score games. It didn't feel sustainable from one year to the next. But now you're seeing a pattern where these games get tight. You need one team to make a play to decide the game. Who's making those plays more than not? It's Minnesota. The quarterback changes, doesn't matter. Defensive coordinator changes, doesn't matter. The Vikings continue to make the plays offensively and defensively to win tight games. That translates to the postseason. And so I think I think they're beating the Packers when the Packers come to town next week. I think it's going to set up a winner-take-all game in Week 18, Vikings at the Lions. I right now am picking the Vikings to go on the road and win. I think their offense from Minnesota can absolutely match the firepower that Detroit's offense has. And I like Minnesota's defense better. I mean, look at this game here for Detroit earlier today. I think at this point we're going to see the Lions' injuries on defense truly take their toll. Where even though they were able to blow out the Bears and win by 17, they still allowed 382 yards of total offense to a Bears offense that we've seen in recent weeks has been miserable. That put up, 4 yards of total offense in the first half against the 49ers a few weeks ago? Like, they struggled completing 2 passes in a row and getting 2 first downs in a row. And they put up almost 400 yards of total offense. I get they didn't get in the end zone and had some turnovers that absolutely changed the game. But defensively, Detroit has showed you they are leaky. They can give up yards. They can give up points. And I think Minnesota's offense is absolutely capable and willing of taking advantage of that defense. I like Minnesota going in that game. And so right now, if you're Minnesota, you're the number 1 seed, the playoffs run through you, you're going to be a hard out, man. You are, to me, absolutely a Super Bowl contender. And you see the difference and the importance of that game, too. Week 18, Lions, Vikings, especially, again, assuming both teams win here in Week 17, which I think they will. Packers at the Vikings, Lions going on the road to the 49ers. Look at the difference here. Winner most likely gets the number 1 seed. Home field advantage and a bye, right? We've talked about Detroit needing that bye badly to get rested up with all the injuries they suffered on defense. Also getting home field that will give that defense a huge boost as well. But the loser of that game now, not only loses out on the bye, loses out on the division, but now you're talking about going on the road as the first wild card team, having to play most likely at the Rams, at the Bucs, at the Falcons, which if the Falcons make the playoffs, that means Michael Penix Jr. has injected some life into that team, and all of a sudden now they've won 3 games and they're hosting a playoff game. That's not easy. That's a really, really tough ask. Then if you win that game on the road, probably then you face the number 1 team, barring any upset below you, which would be the Vikings. Or in this case, if the Vikings lose, the Lions. That's a really tough road just to get to the NFC title game on the road at the Rams, Bucs, or Falcons, and then on the road at the number 1 seed as well. That's brutal. So this is going to be a massive game for both. I think both teams need the number 1 seed here in order to go to the Super Bowl. I think Minnesota's going to get it. Sam Darnold's legit. Their defense is elite at taking the ball away and sacking the quarterback, and they are extremely well coached. I mean, Kevin O'Connell, lockup coach of the year. He's gotten it. 13-2. With a team that, again, I thought and many thought would finish last in the NFC North, 13-2 with a quarterback in Sam Darnold that everybody wrote his career off. I think rightfully so. I for sure did not see this turnaround coming at all. Guy was just supposed to be a placeholder for J.J. McCarthy. Only ended up starting the entire year because McCarthy got hurt. And now he's sitting there saying, I don't know how you can move off of him. O'Connell's done a great job of developing Sam Darnold and getting the talent out of him that he had deep inside, but no one was ever really able to get out of him. And now you're rolling to where at this point in the season, you have, I think for me, you have the inside track at getting the number 1 seed in the NFC and setting yourself up for not only a deep playoff run, but giving yourself a legitimate opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. Kevin O'Connell, Coach of the Year. The Vikings are well coached, tough defensively. They are well balanced offensively as well. Sam Darnold is not a liability. This team is good. This team is tough. This team is getting the number 1 seed in the NFC. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. I'm curious your thoughts here. Are you in on the Vikings? Would you sit here as we get ready for the last 2 weeks of the regular season? They are 13-2. Are you a believer? We've seen Vikings teams in the past. I just referenced that 2022 season where Minnesota pulled some games out of their wazoo. That was a team with a gaudy record that no one truly believed in, no one felt good about, and we saw them lose at home to the Giants in round number 1. Is this year different? I think it is. Are you in on the Vikings as a Super Bowl contender? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey, and the number 3 on social media. We talked a lot of Lions-Vikings. Let's look at the other side of this matchup. At least we talked a lot of Vikings here. Let's look at it from the Lions perspective. Greg is calling us from Michigan. What up, Greg?
Our sizzle, it's the Warrior, Mr. Positive. Hey.
Last time you called us, Greg, by the way, you called yourself
yes,
Mr. Positive. You were very negative.
Yes.
Do we have some positivity back?
Yes, I do, but here's the thing. You make all the sense in the world. I hope my Warriors, my fans in Michigan, don't hate me, but it's the idea that, yes, we have 22 people on the injured reserve. We are hurting. We go up against Minnesota. I don't think we can win, Rocky.
Wow.
You can't win. But you're right. I mean, they're playing on all cylinders. They have maybe 5 people hurt. We're still hurt. We don't know who's going to come back. You know, you got to love Dan Campbell. He's an iconoclast. They call him Mr. Positive Jr. He has that joie de vivre. He's got that go get it, eat them, bite their kneecaps off.
Yeah.
And we're a completely different team. And you're right. But, you know, we played an inferior team today. They gave up 2 fumbles or interceptions, Chicago. You know, instead of having 34, we would have had maybe 28, and they might have had 21. And it's just the idea that, you know, we're barely winning, and it just doesn't look right, but we're there. It's just, could you say, our sizzle, that it's the same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs? We're doing whatever it takes to win, but I think we've come to that wall. We're going to go, well, we can't beat the Bills. We can't beat Minnesota. We can't beat, arguably, Philadelphia, you know, but we're a good team. We went to a place where we've never been before, you know, 13-2. We've never done this in the history of the Detroit Lions because of Dan Campbell. But our sizzle, Mr. Positive, says you're making all the sense in the world that it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. And I just hope my fans in Detroit don't hate me for saying that.
You could be in trouble, Greg. If I was you, I'd go into hiding. I appreciate the call. As always, thank you for making it. Mr. Positive, changing his tune and going now to Mr. Negative. Yeah, I would hide out if I was you, Greg. I don't know if your fans will be very happy with you up in Detroit here over the next few weeks. Doubting this team. If Dan Campbell listens to your negativity, he may replace you, and he probably should be Mr. Positive. But I think, like, for how it sucks, but I think with how good this Lions season has been, how dominant they've been so far, like you said, 13-2, I think the issue, like, the injuries are really starting to pile up. This defense, by the way, they were the weak point for this team, even before the injury started, their pass secondary is by far the weakest unit on this team. There are teams in the NFC that could take advantage of it. And now you're really starting to see these injuries pile up where they're struggling after the quarterback. I think when you play better competition, they're going to get exposed like they were last week against the Bills. For how much of a storybook season this has been for Detroit, I don't think it's going to be a storybook ending. I don't want to say Cinderella because that's disrespectful because that's assuming that nobody saw the Lions coming. Everybody saw the Lions coming. They were a very popular Super Bowl pick. But it does feel like now when you look at these injuries piling up, the way Minnesota's playing well, I know the Eagles lost today, but if Jalen Hurts is healthy, I think they win that game. How the Eagles are rolling, how the Chiefs still just find a way in every single game to pull it out. Teams are starting to separate themselves now as we're really entering the playoff push. I know the Lions won today, but I think the injuries really have them taking a step back as other teams are starting to pass them. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Okay, actually, you know what? We got to quickly here because Greg in Michigan just highlighted that he's afraid of how his fans will respond to his negativity. He calls himself Mr. Positive. He's being very negative. We actually have a response from one of his fans. Michael is calling from Detroit. Michael, what do you have to say about Mr. Positive's negativity?
Hey, man. Yeah, I just wanted to provide some clarity here. I mean, we absolutely destroyed the Bears here today.
Right.
Absolutely destroyed them. And I just think it was an all-around great game by Jared Goff. Played very well. Gibbs carried the load and was able to, provide that missing piece from David Montgomery. And there's no need to freak out. I think we got this under control, and we're making a Super Bowl run here, baby. So no need to be Mr. Negative. We need to be positive here. So let's keep it going. And thanks for taking my call,
Michael. I think we need a changing of the guard here. I think you should be able to refer to yourself as Mr. Positive moving forward. I think Greg should hand his title over to you.
There we go. Speak it into existence. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thank you for the call. The world's not ending. Look, the Lions are a damn good team. Damn good team. I just think right now with the way the Vikings are playing, I think the Vikings have the edge. I like how they're well balanced. They can win games in different ways. I think one thing you are going to lose from David Montgomery's absence is tough running. You saw it kind of by the goal line early in the game. Jahmyr Gibbs on first and second goals, stuffed to the line. You need in those short yardage situations. David Montgomery is so tough, so big, really, physical running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is just not that. And so I think you're going to miss some in short yardage situations here. You're going to miss that bruising back that Montgomery was able to provide to always make sure a 2nd and 1, a 3rd and 2, if you decided to run the ball, was converted. I know Gibbs eventually, I believe it was on the 3rd time, kind of finally got in the end zone. But early in that game, ball on like the 1 yard line, they try to run on first down, stuffed. Run on second down, stuffed. You're going to miss that toughness that Montgomery provided. I think you're going to miss that pretty sorely here. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, we will provide you an update on Sunday Night Football. And also, we talked positive here about the Vikings. We talked positive about, at least about the Lions, 2 really good teams in the NFL. We had a changing of the guard when it comes to the worst team in the NFL. And I'll tell you why it's actually a good thing for the quarterback that will be drafted number 1 overall come April. We'll discuss that when we do return. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night. Here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Baker Mayfield out of the injury tent. We told you that the last time we gave you an update on this. Went in there, looked to be a rib chest injury. He's back, has not missed an offensive snap. Threw an interception in the end zone, which was just an incredible play by Jordan Lewis, where he threw up a jump ball near the end zone to Jalen McMillan. And Lewis, the Cowboys defensive back, just went up there, 50-50 ball, ripped it out of his arms and picked it off. An incredible interception. Cowboys could not do anything with it. Went 3 and out right away. And now Baker Mayfield just drove down the field, led the Buccaneers to a touchdown. So 26-23, extra point pending here. Game is far from over. 2.5 minutes to go. Buccaneers have 2 timeouts. So don't go anywhere. We got ourselves a game in Dallas, and a game in which the Buccaneers desperately need to keep themselves in control of winning the NFC South. They went out, they win the division. They lose this game, all of a sudden now the Falcons have the advantage, And if the Falcons win their last 2 games because they swept the Buccaneers in the regular season, the Falcons are able to win the division. So huge ramifications here for the Buccaneers. Not for the Cowboys. Their season is over. They're eliminated from playoff contention here. So all the pressure is on Tampa to win. Not going out quietly just yet. 855-212-4227. We'll circle back to your thoughts here in 1 second. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum. We started this hour talking about Vikings Lions, 2 of the best teams in the league, 2 of the best teams in the NFC, fighting for that number 1 spot come playoff time. Well, we also got a new number 1 at the other end of the league. Yeah, the worst team shuffled, and now the New York Giants, with their loss earlier today to the Falcons and the Raiders' win over the Jaguars, the Giants now have the number 1 pick in the league, still 2 weeks ago. You know who's happy about that? Giants fans everywhere, obviously, are very happy about that. The only person maybe happier than the group of Giants fans that right now have the number 1 seed, or the number 1 seed, have the number 1 pick in the draft, is Shedeur Sanders. Because if you're Shedeur, you're going to be the number 1 quarterback drafted in 2025. And I think your best chance of success is by being coached by Brian Daboll. This is a guy who's able to develop Josh Allen, right? When the Bills drafted Josh Allen, Daboll was there as their offensive coordinator. And he took this guy that was a huge question mark coming out of Wyoming with a rocket arm, huge build, but wild accuracy, bad decision-making, very little polish. He was just a giant slab of marble that the Bills were hoping to carve into the next David statue, if you will. And they entrusted Daboll to do that. And while Daboll left after 2020 to become the Giants head coach, I thought he did an insanely well job of developing Josh Allen, chipping away piece by piece, year by year, to getting Allen by the time Daboll left to be a consistent MVP caliber quarterback, to where now Allen is considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league easily, right? He's 2 or 3, right there. Him, Mahomes, Burrow. Those are the 3 best quarterbacks in the league, no doubt about it. And Daboll did a great job getting Allen from that unpolished, wildly inconsistent quarterback to now a consistency machine and in line and on track to win his first MVP trophy. If you're Shedeur, that's the guy you want to play for. That's the guy you want developing you as you go to the next level. I would absolutely trust him the most, even though the Giants have a bad roster. I would absolutely want to and trust Daboll to get the best out of me versus, look around. The Raiders are jockeying for that. The Titans are jockeying for that number 1 spot. The Saints maybe could be in the mix here as well. Like the teams that are near the top of the draft that would be drafting a quarterback, you don't want to go to. I'm not trusting Antonio Pierce with my future. I don't know enough right now about Brian Callahan to entrust him and feel good about him developing my future. Daboll's the guy. I mean, just look how important coaching is to young rookie quarterbacks develop. I mean, look at Caleb Williams. Caleb, I would argue, is the most talented quarterback in this draft class. And he's played like one of the worst so far. Why? In part because he's had the worst coaching of any rookie quarterback, easily. With Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus. Look at every other, Bo Nix, Jayden Daniels, now Michael Penix Jr. Look at the rest of the rookie quarterbacks playing here. Hell, even I would argue Drake May is a more competent staff than what Caleb Williams had. So coaching does matter. Even if the roster is not good, coaching matters big time for the development of rookie quarterbacks. I think if you're Shedeur Sanders and you see the Giants slide to that number 1 spot, you got to feel great about your chances of reaching your potential at the next level with Daboll being the one to develop you. I'm assuming, by the way, the Giants won't fire Brian Daboll. I don't think they should. I think Daboll deserves a chance to develop a young rookie quarterback. He did it again. He did it with Josh Allen. Hell, he even did it with Daniel Jones, coming in his first year working with Daniel Jones, getting him to the playoffs, winning a playoff game, and fooling the Giants enough to give him an extension. Daboll did that. He gets the most out of every quarterback he's had. I think if you're Shedeur, that's the guy you want to play for more than ever. So Giants fans are pumped up. but so should Shedeur Sanders be as well. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll get to more of your thoughts, and also when we do return, we'll keep you updated and get to the finale here, react to the end of this Cowboys-Buccaneers game with more on that and everything going on in that busy Sunday in the world of sports. Here's your latest sports update with Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Well, we've got a dramatic finish going on right now. Sunday Night Football in Arlington. Baker Mayfield to Ryan Miller for a 13-yard touchdown. They're in the fourth quarter, and the Cowboys lead the Bucs now 26-24. And the Cowboys now with a 4th and 2 with 1:52 to go in the fourth quarter. And we'll see what the Cowboys are going to do here. Looks like they're going to punt 4th and 2 with 1:52 on the clock. So the Buccaneers are going to get the ball back with a chance to win the game. Now to Orchard Park.
Made from the shotgun, throws it out in the flat, and it's incomplete. Is it a lateral pass and a free ball? It's in the end zone. Is it a lateral? Yes, it's a touchdown. The Bills recover the ball in the end zone. Taron Johnson jumped on the football for the touchdown.
That was Chris Brown on Bills radio. Bills beat the Patriots 24-21. James Cook rushing for 100 yards and a touchdown. Elsewhere, Dolphins 29, Niners 17. Raiders over the Jaguars 19-14. It was the Vikings over the Seahawks 27-24. Commanders 36, Eagles 33. Rams over the Jets 19-9. Colts 38, Titans 30. Lions over the Bears 34-17. In overtime, Panthers over the Cardinals 36-30. Falcons 34, Giants 7. Bengals over the Browns 24-6. NBA in overtime, Nuggets over the Pelicans 132-129, Rockets 114, Raptors 110, and the Pacers beat the Kings 122-95. College basketball, number 3, Iowa State over Morgan State 99-72. Number 6, Alabama beat Kent State 81-54. Number 8, Kansas over Brown 87-53. I'm Peter Schwartz.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is, play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
If you are a Dallas Cowboys fan right now, crank this song up and jump around. Big win for Dallas. They have officially now, as the game has gone final, they have beaten the Buccaneers 26-24. And I will say, as you know, I try to prepare for different outcomes that could happen and have a reaction to it, before the game so that I'm prepared, kind of to go with you here and talk through my thoughts as the game is going on and happening. And as I was preparing for this game, but before the show and even earlier today, really early on Sunday, kind of get some ideas down of, okay, this is, could be the angles, could be some takes here. I did not really factor in the Cowboys winning this game at all. At all. I did not even really expect them to be competitive. In a season that's been lost, I know they've been playing a little bit better, but again, that's part of the competition. You got a Bucs team that's coming in extremely motivated, coming off an ass whooping of the Chargers. There's a lot on the line for them in terms of, they have to win this game to maintain their control of who wins the NFC South. There was so much on the line for Tampa Bay that I thought for sure they'd come in focused, and against a Dallas team that they were just eliminated. Defense is a little bit banged up. Again, the offense is Cooper Rush. You have CeeDee Lamb dealing with a shoulder injury. Just did not expect at all Dallas to be competitive, let alone actually be winning this game. And that is such a disappointing frankly, disgusting loss by the Buccaneers. When you look at everything that was riding on this game, when you look at the Cowboys and how bad they've been at home, they've won one home game all season long, and it's against the crappy Giants. That's it. Only home game they've won, and most of the time at home, forget about losing, they've been embarrassed. I thought that should have been just another chapter to the story of a bad 2024 season of what we saw tonight on Sunday Night Football. And for the Buccaneers to give this game away, and that's what they did. Look, credit to Dallas. They played well. Cooper Rush was efficient. That defense played spirited. But this Tampa offense is rolling. You know, the pass game led by Baker has been on fire. The run game has really brought some good balance to this offense as well. And to be outdueled by Cooper Rush, to not be able to get the job done, that is such a bad loss for Tampa. This could be the game that keeps them out of the playoffs. Now you look at where they fall in the landscape of the NFC, they're now on the outside looking in. They trade places with the Falcons, both teams at 8-7. But because Atlanta has a tiebreaker in sweeping the regular season series, all of a sudden, Tampa goes from home, the 4 seed having a home game in the playoffs to now they're the 8 seed looking out to where you need the Falcons to lose one of their last 2 games here. Because they're not going to get a wild card. Buccaneers are 8-7. The 7th seed right now in the NFC is Washington. They're at 10-5. Commanders would have to lose out. Bucs would have to win out. And I got to even see, I'm not even sure if that's enough because I think the first tiebreaker since they didn't play each other, I think would be conference record. And I don't think, I'm just pulling up right here, just a triple check. Yeah, the Commanders are 7-3, Bucs are 6-4. So that doesn't change. You look at the Commanders having right now the tiebreaker over the Bucs. You need bare minimum here, Washington to lose out, but you also need that or the Falcons to lose one of their last 2 games. And their final 2 games at Atlanta. Now, with Michael Penix Jr. on and having a little shot of energy maybe, their last 2 games are at the Commanders, home against the Panthers. So at least for the Buccaneers, one of the 2 teams you need to lose, one of them is guaranteed to lose. That's a Sunday night game next week. Falcons at Commanders, but then the Falcons finish with the Panthers. If they're able to beat the Commanders and they can beat Carolina, we're probably talking about the Buccaneers missing the playoffs. I think they have a lot of talent. And it will be a tough out, especially if a wild card team has to go travel to them. But this is such a huge missed opportunity that I think they're going to look back on this season. If you talk about, hey, what was the one game you wish you had back? I don't think it's either game against the Falcons. I think it's this game right here. Against a Dallas team with nothing to play for that has gotten embarrassed all season long at home. This is going to be the game you look back on if you're Tampa and you miss out on the playoffs. You're going to say, that was the one. That was the missed opportunity we are going to lose sleep over. You look at some of the stats in this game, it's mind-blowing how they lost. Like you look at first downs. Buccaneers had 10 more first downs than the Cowboys did. They outgained them by almost 100 yards. Bucs had 411 yards of total offense. Cowboys 317. The Cowboys in this game had just 31 rushing yards on 20 attempts. They averaged 1.6 yards per carry, but still, that did not prevent Cooper Rush having a bad game. He went 26 of 35 for 286 yards. Played really well. But it's not like Baker played poorly. He threw for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have 1 pick, and that 1 pick to Jordan Lewis was just an incredible play by him. 50-50 deep ball where Jalen McMillan had his right arm out and caught the ball, but as they were falling to the ground, Lewis just ripped it out in the end zone for an incredible interception. So the one interception is not Baker's fault. Threw for over 300 yards. Was very efficient, 31 of 43. This game came down, by the way, they were 3 of 3 in the red zone, so they converted every time they were down there. This game came down to turnovers. Simple as that. Bucs 2, Cowboys nothing. Cowboys did a really good job of holding onto the ball, not giving the Buccaneers any extra opportunities, and the Bucs had 2 costly turnovers, one by Baker there, and then the last one to end the game where Rachaad White Baker kind of shoveled it to him, caught in one hand, kind of held the ball like a loaf of bread, could never really get a good grip on it. And as he was falling to the ground, ball ripped out, recovered, game over. Deron Bland with the strip and also the recovery. Great play by him. But turnovers cost the Buccaneers in this game. And then that's the game I think you're going to really sit there and say, man, we want that one back. Which, by the way, on the other side, credit to Dallas. They played this game really hard. Again, they had no reason to fight. They've been a bad home team all season long. This is one of those, like, you play for pride. But how many times do you hear that, right? Like, we're going to play for pride. We're professionals. And then they still, your team lays an egg. You get down early, okay, who cares? The Cowboys truly played hard. Now, that may end up working against them because, again, in the end, I think at this point, the best draft position you can get possible, I think, is what's best for this franchise moving forward. I don't think wins when you're eliminated from the playoffs are the best thing. Also, the more they win, the more that might convince Jerry to keep Mike McCarthy, which I think would be a mistake. Mike has his guys playing hard. And to his credit, he's not lost the locker room. With that said, I don't think Mike McCarthy elevates his team. I don't think he's able to really provide an advantage. I think he's an average coach that gets out-coached severely in the postseason anytime he's facing a good team. I don't think, like, if the Cowboys are make the playoffs like we've seen the last few years, you could never say in really almost any game they played in that they had the coaching advantage. I think the Cowboys are oftentimes ill-prepared. They struggle with penalties. They're undisciplined. There's a lot there that I think it is hard for me to justify bringing Mike McCarthy back for 2025. I would not do it if I was Jerry Jones. Now, part of the reason is Jerry Jones. He is the problem, period, because he does not let his coach do anything. And that's part of the reason why I think he will extend Mike McCarthy, is just because McCarthy's a yes man. Does not create any controversy. Does not take away any shine away from Jerry, which is what he wants first and foremost. So now the more the Cowboys win and they're playing hard, and maybe if they finish strong here, win one or two more games, it is very likely and probably probable that Mike McCarthy is extended and thus back in Dallas in 2025, probably 2026 as well and beyond, which I think if you're a Cowboys fan looking to actually hopefully, be able to take some tangible steps forward to being a true contender, I don't think bringing Mike McCarthy is the step you want to take that's going to, that's not, I should say, a step you could take in the right direction. They're playing hard for him. With that said, again, I just would not feel great about Mike McCarthy leading my team going forward here. But with Jerry, nothing for him ever does make any sense. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. This hour we talked a lot of Lions-Vikings. Who is the inside track to the number one seed now that it's really coming just between those two teams? I think for me, it's Minnesota. 855-212-4227. James is calling from Detroit. What's up, James?
Good holidays to you.
Likewise, James. Enjoy it, man.
Thank you. I don't think it's going to come down to the last game.
Why is that?
I think the road favorite is going into Minnesota. I hate to say it, I am a Green Bay Packers fan next week.
Living in enemy territory, huh, James?
But they are a road favorite, so let's remember that.
Packers are a good
team. Yes, they're a great team. So, but let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Detroit will know what happened the day before. Here's a scenario I have for you. Say Minnesota does win that. That game for Detroit means nothing now. Because if we win next week, we clinch everything still. Would you, if you're Dan Campbell, if that game means nothing, sit some of your stars, because as we all know, we are injury prone right now. Would you sit Goff? Would you sit Gibbs? Would you sit some of the linemen that's been hurt?
I'll answer your question. I'm just confused here to the beginning, James. You said we. Aren't you a Packers fan?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Lions diehard. I'm just a Packers fan next week. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My bad. I was confused there. I thought you meant a Packers fan. I see.
No. I'm a one-time Packers fan.
I hear you. That's fair. Yes. I would. Well, it's a case-by-case basis, James. I appreciate the call. I don't like, especially if the number one seed, if the Lions get it, I don't love the double rest. As a Colts fan, I'll give you this. Because the Colts for a while used to be in that spot back when they had 2 buys, right, for the first and second. They would always sit Peyton Manning, a lot of the starters, like the last week of the season. Then they have the bye. Then it's like 3 weeks by the time they actually play a game, by the time, they're playing again in the playoffs. And the Colts a lot of times will come out of the gate slow. I know the Lions are banged up. If a few players get off, I would do it. But I would try to play as many starters as I can, even in a game that doesn't matter, just because if you have the bye, you still want to keep them fresh and sharp. All right, it's Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, we'll give you the biggest rapper reactions from Week 16.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Looking for a man after midnight? You've come to the right place. It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us part of your evening. It's been a busy first 2 hours of the show. If you missed any part of it, check out the Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your pods. Sunday Night Football is in the books. The Cowboys with an upset over the Buccaneers, 26-24. They take down Tampa and really now put a hurt on the Buccaneers' chances of making the playoffs, where they were controlling the NFC South. They win the next 2 games they are in. Now that is no longer the case because the Falcons, with the advantage of the tiebreaker, both now are at 8-7. Falcons, because they swept the Buccaneers earlier this season in the season series, they own the tiebreaker. So if you're the Bucs, bare minimum, you need to win out, and you need the Falcons to lose one of their next 2 at the Commanders or home against the Panthers. So huge missed opportunity there for Tampa. We'll dive more into that game here in a little bit. But now that the entirety, at least on this Sunday, of Week 16 action is over, and a lot of you probably tuning in for the first time, Sunday Night Football broadcast is over, let's get into some of the biggest takeaways, biggest highlights here from Week 16 on this Sunday in the NFL. And, of course, we only do it one way, with a little NFL music. All right, biggest takeaway, I think, from Sunday was the play of Jayden Daniels. And it's not just the fact that he had 5 touchdowns today, had a comeback victory over the Eagles, and was able to get the Commanders to 10 wins. It's not just the fact that I think he locked up Rookie of the Year with this performance. I think it's now Jayden Daniels is firmly in the MVP race. And look at what he's doing. As a rookie coming in, he has truly transformed how this Commanders organization is viewed. Where now they're actually, wait for it, you ready? Respectable. Competent. In large part because of how he's playing. Where this team is actually a threat. Because Jayden Daniels right now has been able overnight to come in and help turn this franchise from a longtime loser to now a team that's going to the playoffs, winning at least 10 games for the first time since 2012, has a chance to win at least 11 games for the first time since 1991. He's elevated an offense to now having it be top 5 in the league, despite having a lot of the same cast of characters in previous years and not getting anywhere near those levels of offensive success, leading them to the playoffs, or at least on the cusp. I don't think they're going to lose the last 2. I think they're all going to be in the postseason. What he has done, I think, truly embodies what MVP should mean, right? Most valuable player, what it stands for. He has added value that I don't think you could argue even Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson this year have added to their teams. I'm not saying Jayden should win it. But I think when you're talking about the conversation and you're going into the last 2 weeks of the season, when you hear Lamar Jackson, when you hear Josh Allen, you hear Saquon Barkley, well, in the next breath, you better also add Jayden Daniels. He, to me, is absolutely an MVP candidate for the 2024 season, on top of obviously locking up Rookie of the Year and getting the Commanders to the playoffs. Another takeaway here has to do, at least for me, with the Minnesota Vikings. I think with the Eagles losing today, falling to the Commanders, and now opening up the race for the number 1 seed to really having just be 2 teams, Lions, Vikings. I favor the Vikings. I favor the Vikings in part because for me, I've waited a long time, but now I'm finally comfortable doing it. I am putting them in the Super Bowl contender category. I think they belong there. With how well Sam Darnold has played, with how consistent he is, with how that defense is able to get after you, sack you, force turnovers, top 5 in both categories. They are very well coached. Kevin O'Connell, I think, locked up Coach of the Year, not just with this game today in which they're able to come back and beat the Seahawks, but also just what he's done all season long. I mean, the Vikings are 13-2 with Sam Darnold. Let's be honest here. If we went back into August, I know I said it, and I'm sure a lot of you agreed with me. The Vikings, we all thought were going to be one of the, if not the worst team in the NFC North. No one thought playoffs. Nobody. I mean, actually, I'll never forget this. I remember we had one call back on this show in August, and it was a Vikings fan, and they were trying to tell me that the Vikings were going to make the playoffs. I would never forget. I laughed them off the air. Laughed them off the air. Well, I look like the fool now, and rightfully so. They've been great this season. Kevin O'Connell's done an excellent job. He is locked up, I think, Coach of the Year because this team is succeeding far, far beyond their expectations. But look at now the race for the number 1 seed, where the Packers do come to Minnesota next week, where the Lions face the 49ers on the road. If both teams win their respective games, tough, but both. Well, I guess either way, if both teams win, both teams lose, you're still looking at most likely a Week 18 game where winner wins the division, winner gets the number 1 seed, winner gets home field advantage, and they get a bye. Huge stakes. Now, right now, I favor Minnesota. I like their defense better. I think their offense can match the explosive levels that the Detroit offense puts out on a weekly basis. And I think Minnesota's defense can get more stops, cause more havoc right now than Detroit's, even though they'd be on the road in Detroit Week 18, probably a Sunday night game, probably would be one of the best, most charged up atmospheres we have seen in the NFL all season long. Give me the Vikings, though. I'm in on Minnesota. I think they've done enough this year to prove how good they are. And I think if you're doubting them at this point, not calling them a Super Bowl contender, not thinking there's a realistic chance of them getting that number 1 seed and making a run in the playoffs, you're just in denial at this point. Because there's nothing you can point to on the field at this point in saying that they are not one of the league's best. That they are there to me in the same category as the Lions, the Eagles, the Chiefs. Super Bowl Bills as well. My apologies to Josh Allen. Super Bowl contenders. Speaking of which, another kind of takeaway I thought here that we saw here in Week 16 was that the Falcons are right in what they did in moving on from Kirk Cousins and drafting Michael Penix Jr. That was a heavily criticized pick back in April. I was, at least at the moment, I was surprised by it. But even the more you thought about it in the moment, it made sense. They are taking a gamble in bringing Kirk Cousins in, 35, 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury with questions about how he plays in the postseason. He elevates the Falcons roster for sure right now. I thought they would win the division, and I thought they would win 13, 14 games with him as their quarterback. I thought he would fit well into that offense with the weapons and the offensive line he had around him. I was wrong. But if you're Minnesota, clearly if you're Atlanta, you thought you could have success with Kirk in the short term. But you knew that was maybe a 2, maybe for lucky 3-year run, right? And you signed him for 4, but there's no way you thought you'd get 4 good years from Kirk. You probably thought 2, maybe 3 for lucky. So you still had a long-term question. And I love the fact that they saw Michael Penix Jr., loved what they saw and said, you know what? This is unconventional, but we're going to do it anyway. We think that highly of him. We're going to draft him, and we're going to see what happens. He may not play for a few years, but we think he's so good that we don't want to pass up on him, and we want to have a backup plan to where eventually when we move off of Kirk, we can have a succession plan, kind of the way the Packers have done it. From Favre to Rodgers to Love. The Falcons kind of did their own version of that. It worked well for Green Bay, I would argue, right? 3 quarterbacks in a row they've hit. You look at it for Atlanta, I think it's going to work out to your favor. Now, Penix was fine today. I thought he was comfortable. I thought he was in command. He did not look overwhelmed. The game did look like it was kind of slowing down for him, which I think is a good sign early. But I think also, again, it wasn't one of those where he wowed you completely and just had a statue that jumped off the charts. But it was very solid. Very, very solid. So far as debut, I think we'll get better. So I think if you're the Falcons, you are going to feel good about what you're going to get from your guy, Michael Penix Jr., over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I think you're going to feel good looking back on that draft and saying, you know what, we absolutely did the right thing here. But now I think he could still help lead you to the playoffs. In part because the Buccaneers just suffered. Easily the worst loss of Week 16. And I would say one of the worst losses of the year. No hyperbole. Them with how much was on the line, where you could argue their division hopes, their playoff hopes, were riding on the outcome in this game. To go into Dallas, who's been downtrodden, who has no reason to play hard, to not match their energy, to allow them to get off to a hot start, to find yourself trying to dig out of a hole all game long against a team of the Cowboys where all they've done at home outside of Thanksgiving has been getting embarrassed, getting boat raced by every team that comes in there. To allow them to control the pace of the game, to not be able to get some stops defensively, for drives to end and sacks to happen and not have this offense to really kind of late get going, have turnovers take points off the board. Inexcusable. That is an inexcusable loss by Tampa. And I think if it does end up where the Buccaneers miss the playoffs, that's the loss you're going to point to and say, that's the one. That cost us. It's not getting swept by the Falcons, obviously, is not ideal. So when I say you can live with it, I'm not saying you accept it. But okay, fine, the Falcons are a solid team, division opponent. You could excuse those 2 losses away. You can't excuse away this loss to the Cowboys. At this stage of the season, 3 games to go on a national stage, with the Falcons kind of getting a new life here with Penix as their quarterback. You're able to make up for getting swept and dug out of an early hole to now be in control and have a home playoff game. And by the way, in NFC, that is shaping up to be a gauntlet. I still think I think the Eagles are coming out of the NFC. Even if they have to go to Minnesota, if they have to go to Detroit, I'm not worried about it. I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. They've been the most consistent. They have the most ways to beat you. I think the Eagles will be the representative of the NFC come Super Bowl time. But, hell, those games against Detroit are going to be tough. Those games against Minnesota, if they play them, could be very tough. Hell, I think even the Rams are a tough out. The Bucs are a talented team. This is going to be a gauntlet where I think every matchup is going to be very, very difficult for any team to win at home or even on the road. Packers coming to town is no easy feat. And to just give away a golden opportunity to have a home playoff game, give yourself a good chance of moving on. Inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable here by the Buccaneers to not be able to get this win and come through. That's when you're going to be really shaking your head out here. If this season does end, either number 1, making the playoffs, but you're a wild card and on the road, or number 2, you miss out of the playoffs altogether. Brutal loss here by the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield was banged up, but still did not miss any game action. Just all around not good enough here for Tampa Bay. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. All right, speaking of MVP, I was saying that Jayden Daniels needs to be included in that conversation along with Josh Allen, along with Lamar Jackson, along with Saquon Barkley. Lou is calling from Rochester with some thoughts on the MVP. What's up, Lou? Lou is not there. On the call screen, we have Saquon Barkley MVP question mark. So I'm assuming Lou was going to make a case as to why Barkley should win the MVP. Look, we talked about this earlier. I think he should be in the race. I just don't think right now Barkley has a strong enough case to win the MVP, in part because he's not the sole reason, right, why the Eagles are winning. He's a huge part of it, don't get me wrong. But when you look at how good that defense has been, number one in the league since the bye, going back to week number 4, the Eagles' defense has been. You look at last week and how they're able to beat the Steelers, where the passing game for Philly was called into question. Is it the weak point? Can they figure it out? Is that going to be, the death knell for their season? And after weeks of questions and noise and speculation and frustration and reports and Brandon Graham talking on radio about the relationship between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, what did Hurts in the passing game do? Go out there against a really tough Steelers defense, throw for nearly 300 yards, A.J. Brown at 100 yards, Devontae Smith himself at 100 yards. Hurts was efficient, 3 total touchdowns, and he put to bed any questions about the passing game. So that passing game, when they want to and they have to, can be very efficient and can throw it on anybody. That run game, we know, right, led by Barkley, is elite. That defense shuts down almost everybody. Today was their first real bad game since they got boat raced by the Buccaneers early in the season. I'm not panicking about the defense. I think Jayden Daniels, to me, if anything, kind of proved how impressive he is. I would give more credit to him than I would say, the Eagles defense stinks. Look, you're allowed a bad game. It is, you're not going to be perfect realistically every single week. So I'll give the Eagles a pass here defensively for their effort in this game against Washington. But when it comes to Saquon Barkley, the reason why I would put him fourth in this MVP conversation is because you look at the other 3 quarterbacks in Allen, Lamar, and Jayden. I think there's more on their plate. There's more riding on their team's success versus Barkley, where you can win games in different ways. You can win on in terms of passing. You can win in terms of your defense. All right, we're going to try Lou here quickly one more time. Lou is in Rochester. What's up, Lou?
Hey, Ryan.
There he is.
2 things. One, I think you're too high on the Vikings, mainly because I am not sold on Sam Darnold. I saw him play last week, second half of the game. He looked like the same old Sam Darnold that I've seen with the Jets. And I think he's subpar compared to Jordan Love and especially Jared Goff. And I think that they're going to take 1 or 2 hits, especially in Detroit. But the first reason I called was, Barkley is supposedly this MVP candidate, and Hurts goes out today, and it's really the reliance on Barkley by the Eagles was next to non-existent, and he performed pretty much that way, especially in crunch time, fourth quarter. And they ended up losing the game. Is he really an MVP candidate? He had a chance to show his medal, and he showed nothing.
Lou, I appreciate the call, buddy. We just mentioned it a little bit before. I think he's in the conversation. I do think he's had a good enough season. The Eagles' rush offense is tops in the league, where I do think he deserves his name to be in the mix, in the conversation. Again, if I had an MVP vote and you said 1 through 4, who would it be? Barkley right now would be 4th. I'm still not sold yet on who the MVP would be. I think Lamar Jackson is getting slept on big time. We look at his numbers and how well he's performing. I don't know right now. If I had to vote today, that I would definitely, I think right now, vote Lamar number 1. But I think Barkley deserves to be in the conversation. For sure, but to your point, Lou, today was, I think, a really, if Barkley had any chance of winning the award, actually, and becoming the first running back since Adrian Peterson to win MVP, he would have needed to double up his performance in the first half again in the second half. He had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns in half number 1. Half number 2, 50 yards. And like I said, in the fourth quarter, they tried to run the ball. It was non-existent. He was not getting any sort of traction, could not get going. He really struggled. And that's like, if you want to win the MVP as a running back, that is the perfect situation where your quarterback is out. You're facing a team that is, I think on the opposite side, you're facing an MVP candidate in Jayden Daniels, who's having success. If you can outperform him in a win on the road in which your quarterback goes out and you are the hero running for 200 yards and carrying your team to victory, I think we're talking about a legitimate case here for Saquon Barkley. Instead, second half goes quiet. Eagles can't get anything established. I mean, even the final drive. Look, catch the ball on that pass from Kenny Pickett on third down, and the Eagles win the game. But also, they gave Barkley chances to run the ball to run out the clock, and they couldn't do it. In part because Barkley was getting tackled behind the line, couldn't fall forward, and get the yards needed to run out the clock. So, while I think he deserves to be in the conversation because of how well his season is going, I think any hopes of actually winning the award have gone out the window for Saquon Barkley. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we do return, I'll tell you the NFC team that nobody wants to face playoff time. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Hick at Night. Here's Ryan Hickey.
Right now on the TV, I'm seeing highlights of the Bengals-Browns game. It's so infuriating just how bad the Bengals defense is. Like, if they were just mediocre instead of, like, just awful, like one of the worst defense in the league, we're talking about a Bengals team in the playoffs that I think no one feels comfortable playing against. Because we've seen Joe Burrow in these big games just operate like an assassin. Can go in and rip your heart out, win a game by himself. I mean, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown has really, filled in that role nicely ever since you had the injury to Zach Moss. Like, this is such a fun team, a dangerous offense that it's just like, they're not mathematically eliminated, right? They need some things to kind of go their way in order to try to sneak in the playoffs at 9-8. They need a lot of help. And it's so frustrating seeing, the highlight, if you haven't seen it, just look it up, please, on social media. It'd be very easy to find, or wherever you do get your highlights. Like, Joe Burrow's falling down, flipping into the end zone, and T. Higgins, he made another play later, like, over his shoulder. Like, he is now, like, adding acrobatics to what has already been a great season for Joe. It's so much, I want to see him in big games. Now, he can help himself out a little bit here by beating the Broncos this upcoming Saturday. But, man, it is frustrating to see such a fun quarterback and a fun offense in Cincinnati be wasted, essentially, by just their crappy defense. Very, very frustrating. 855-212-4227. A team, though, that is in the playoffs, that kind of similar to Cincinnati, though, to where if you face them, you don't feel very good about it, is the LA Rams. Right? When you look at the NFC bracket right now, the three best teams, clearly, I think, that are separating themselves from everyone else, Lions, Vikings, Eagles, in no order. I think the best of the rest, if you will, starts with the Rams. Like, they, for me, are the team that no one wants to see in the postseason. Not saying they're making a deep run or going to the Super Bowl, but that's one where you don't feel great at all about your matchup. There's some early round matchups that you feel, okay, we can beat that team. They don't really scare me. That quarterback is okay. Can he play in the postseason? Probably not. Like, while the Lions, Vikings, Eagles all have much more talent than the Rams do, one of the great equalizers that we've seen in the postseason to make up for that talent gap, great head coach, great quarterback, that is what the Rams have. If you think about it, right, in teams that are either in the playoffs or in the playoff mix, when you talk about head coach, quarterback combos, outside of Reed and Mahomes, there's not another head coach quarterback combo I think is better than the head coach quarterback combo of Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. I have questions about either the quarterback or the head coach that right now, I'll put them as the best only behind the duo in Kansas City. That's how much I respect right now the top of the Rams. And with the great coaching job McVay has done, the quarterback play of Matthew Stafford, who does have that Super Bowl experience, which I think is huge, knowing how to get it done in the biggest moments, proving it, elevating those around him. And while this is a young roster, they are playing better. And those guys, especially on defense, another year in the system, growing. They were very young last year, slowly getting there this year as well. They, to me, are a dangerous team. They're playing their best football when it matters most, which is right now late in the season. Matthew Stafford, his last 6 games, 11 touchdowns, one interception. Again, that defense is getting better. They're making some winning plays when they have to. Today was an ugly, a pretty ugly game against the Jets. But you know what? They found ways to win and make sure any Jets comeback was put to bed. A few weeks ago against the Bills, they found a way offensively to make sure they won that game. They are making enough plays offensively and defensively where, again, if you're the Lions and you face the Rams again in round 1, you could easily win that game. But you don't feel good about it. I think you should feel very nervous about the Rams coming to town. I think that's the team right now in the NFC. When you look at, outside of the top 3, they clearly, have separated themselves. Who else is in that maybe best of the rest category that you don't feel good about whatsoever, no matter who you are? I think that team is the Rams. After the game, Sean McVay talked about what has made his team really so dangerous here these last few weeks.
Credit to the players, and I think the coaching staff, we always talk about resilience. Even though last year's team was different, there's some similar guys that had been through that. This year was very different. We're very young at a lot of spots, but we still have that veteran leadership. But the guys just focus on what they can control. I think they've done a great job of being totally and completely present.
That veteran leadership, to me, I think, is what McVay hits on. That is perfectly why, I would be very nervous. If I was the Lions, if I was the Vikings, if I was the Eagles, of the Rams coming to town. When a team knows what it has to take to get over the hump, when they have that ring on their finger, that Super Bowl experience, that's dangerous. They have that belief. Stafford, Kupp, there's a lot of established veterans that know what it takes. And I think they can carry guys that are inexperienced, again, especially in that defense. I think they can do a good job of elevating the rest of the guys to help carry them, to get them to a point where they can believe that, hey, we can go into any place, no matter how they're playing, and we can go in and win. Hell, even last year, Rams got bounced in the first round. They gave the Lions everything they could handle. That was a really fun back-and-forth game. The Rams, they, to me, are the team that, when you talk about the best of the rest, who do you feel the most worried about? Rams are that team for me. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's go to Daryl calling from Detroit. What's up, Daryl?
Yes, how you doing today?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind?
All right, great show. I'm just a couple things. I'm just trying to see why is Jared Goff not in that conversation. I know I'm from Detroit, but even if I was from St. Louis or somewhere, I'd look and say he's one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. He is. And also, a couple weeks ago, he outplayed Josh Allen. Josh Allen was torching Lions' second and third string defensive players while he was torching the
he did not. Statistically, he threw for almost 500 yards. You cannot watch that game, Daryl, and tell me that Jared Goff outplayed Josh Allen 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you.
I really think that. He threw for 5, pretty much 4.
Yeah, how many of those yards came in when you were playing catch-up and the Bills' defense is playing prevent defense?
Well, James Ward dropped that perfect pass and a few other passes that were dropped. He throws for 600 yards. And also, one other thing, why are the announcers calling Josh Allen Superman? He never played in the Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl, and he only played an AFC Championship game one time. Is that Superman?
I appreciate the call, Daryl. Here's why they call him Superman. Because he puts on his cape and he lifts up the Bills and carries them to victory. If you watch Buffalo, their defense is fine. It's not elite. You watch their run game, it's fine. It's not consistent. In order for Buffalo to win a lot of the big games they play, whether it's against your Lions a few weeks ago, whether it's against the Chiefs, whether it's in the playoffs, they need Josh Allen to be on his A game, both passing and running. For other quarterbacks, like in your case, Jared Goff, for Patrick Mahomes, for Jalen Hurts, like there are plenty of examples, Sam Darnold, where you don't have to lift up your team every single week in order for them to win. You can win in different ways. You can win in a low-scoring game relying on your defense because you have one of the best defenses in the league. You can rely on a run game that is one of the best in the league that can run for 200 yards and, have a pedestrian passing game and have that be fine and okay enough to win. The Lions, not maybe as much as early in the season when they were healthy, but they have different ways to win. The Eagles have different ways they can beat you. The Bills don't. The Bills have one way to beat you. And that's what gets me nervous playoff time. And I think that's why you've seen the Bills not get to where they're supposed to get to, or where a lot of people predicted them to go, which is the Super Bowl in previous years, because they're so reliant on one player that if Josh Allen, even if, forget about just a bad game, if he plays an okay game, not A plus, A minus, maybe even B plus, they don't have other ways they can beat you consistently. Chiefs have a lockdown defense. So Mahomes has an off game. Well, they can win in a lower scoring game like they did against the Ravens in the AFC title game. Because they have one of the best defenses in the league. That can get turnovers, get the opposing offense off the field, and give yourself chances. That's why Josh Allen's called Superman. It's not literal super as in he's been to a Super Bowl. It's because in order for the Bills to succeed, he has to put the entire team on his back. That's why. Hopefully that clears it up for you, Daryl. 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. All right. It is the holiday spirit in the air. And one holiday that does not get enough credit, enough attention, is the great man-made holiday of Festivus. Good for George Costanza. Good for Mr. Costanza. He deserves more credit and recognition around this time. So we're going to give it to him.
I got a lot of problems with you.
That's the you know what? You can lead us off here, Pete. I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. We're going to do some sports grievances. I have some problems with some things in sports. Do you have a sports grievance right now you'd like to air out?
Yeah, Woody Johnson.
Very fair. Bring out the blame poll, and maybe if you can do the feats of strength of Woody, maybe the Jets could have a good future.
Just lock him in a door and let the general manager be hired and then stay out of the way. And
take his kids also out of the room as well.
Oh, yeah. Send them away somewhere. Send them to England.
That Athletic article this week detailing the inner workings of the Jets and really Woody Johnson. It was very interesting because you got a lot of firsthand anecdotes that we've never heard before, but at the same time, not surprising.
I believe all of it.
Oh, same. Because while we haven't gotten, let's say, specific reports or stories, everything checks out of he has his hands in everything. Everything he usually touches turns to garbage. His decision-making is awful. And his decision-making in terms of who he trusts is equally bad, where he's taking advice from kids that are teenagers. It checks out all the way.
Yeah, I got a big problem with him.
So you got us off going with Sports Festivus here, airing your grievances with Jets owner Woody Johnson. I'll give you some of mine here when we do return on the show. Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Up first with the latest sports update is Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
We will start with Sunday Night Football.
Ezekiel Elliott lines up as the I-back. Rush under center. Here's the snap. Handoff. Elliott running left. Leaning into the end zone. Touchdown Cowboys. It's a 1-yard touchdown run for Elliott. It's his third of the year. And the Cowboys lead is now 19-7 with 1:45 to go in the second quarter.
That was Ryan Ratke on Westwood 1. Cowboys over the Bucs, 26-24. Cooper Rush threw for 292 yards. and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches for 105 yards. And with that, Bucs lost the Falcons back in the driver's seat in the NFC South after a 34-7 win over the Giants. Now to Seattle. Vikings trail the Seahawks in the fourth quarter.
1st and 10 from the Seattle 39. 3:58 to go. Seattle leads by 4 in the fourth quarter. Sam steps up. Sam throws left. Caught! Jefferson! Touchdown! Yes! Sam, the man on the fan, finds the moneymaker Justin Jefferson. And the Vikings have taken a 26-24 lead.
Paul Allen on Vikings radio. Vikings improved to 13-2, beat the Seahawks 27-24. Elsewhere, the Dolphins over the Niners 29-17, Raiders 19, Jaguars 14. The Bills over the Patriots 24-21. Commanders 36, Eagles 33. Rams topped the Jets 19-9. Colts 38, Titans 30. Lions over the Bears 34-17. In overtime, Panthers beat the Cardinals 36-30. And the Bengals over the Browns 24-6. NBA in overtime. Nuggets 132, Pelicans 129. Rockets over the Raptors 114-110. The Pacers beat the Kings 122-95. College basketball number 3, Iowa State over Morgan State 99-72. I'm Peter Schwartz.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Check out our new and improved website at infinitysportsnet.com. That's infinitysportsnet.com.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
It is Hick at Night with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your Sunday. Very much appreciative. It is the holiday, which is very nice. It's crazy that this is already here, but the holidays are here. Christmas is right around the corner. Hanukkah is right around the corner. So happy early holidays to you. But actually, technically, as we sit here on the East Coast, about to be in the Central Time Zone as well, it is also the holiday of Festivus. That's right. For those Seinfeld fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. The made-up holiday by Frank Costanza to shoot back on Christmas, fight back on the holidays, and to really make the holiday spirit what at least Frank Costanza wanted to be, which, as you can hear right here, thanks to Seinfeld, is filled with a lot of hate.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
It's a great holiday. Airing out your grievances, calling people out. So I said, you know what? Since it is Festivus, which is celebrated on December 23rd every single year, we're going to bring Festivus to the radio. I have a few sports opinions on my mind, a few sports frustrations on my mind, a few grievances that I want to air out here for everybody. First and foremost, this actually goes back to yesterday. College football. What infuriates me to no end is the fact that college football is the only sport where we have to second guess everything. I'm all in favor of the 12-team playoff. I'm for it. I'm excited for it. I think it was going to work out fine. But I am so sick of people on social media Friday night, Saturday night, lamenting all these blowouts and then saying, well, Indiana shouldn't have been included because, they stink. They're getting blown up by Notre Dame. And, SMU's a joke. And, I can't believe this team got in and that didn't. And Alabama fans are getting upset. And Lane Kiffin is tweeting about how they should have been included. How about this? Instead of just talking about who got left out and who would have been a better game, how about you just admit Number one, that maybe these teams that they're facing, that Indiana's facing and Notre Dame is actually damn good. That Penn State's just a good team, and they would have blown out anybody they faced. Because that's the reality. Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State. It did not matter who they were facing on those on Friday or Saturday. They were winning and winning handily. There's not another team in the country that did not make the 12-team playoff that would have given them a better game. So save it. And I hate this because it happens all the time in college football. Oh, well, this team got, they should have put this team in, or I can't believe, wow, the committee chose that team. It's the only sport where it's like every single blowout is like a referendum on the selection process. Blowouts happen. We've seen NFL games, NFL playoff games blowing out. Does anyone bitch about how a team got screwed? No. You take care of business or you don't. If you don't take care of business, there's no sympathy. NBA, we see a lot of blowouts in the playoffs. It happens. Sometimes you just face a great team, and doesn't matter who is on the other side, they're going to win. Drives me insane. But I'm not the only one celebrating Festivus, ironically enough, because sticking with college football, Saturday night, Kirk Herbstreit, who's an Ohio State alum, quarterback there, he was sick of the talk surrounding Ryan Day ever since the Michigan loss, where the last game of the season when Ohio State lost to Michigan for the fourth straight year, despite, again, a 10-2 record, despite being still a top 10 team in the country, and despite Ryan Day's record against everybody else not named Michigan, Ohio State fans wanted him fired, and as Ohio State was just giving it to Tennessee, just giving the boots to him, Kirk Herbstreit decided that was the opportunity to fight back. You want to talk about airing out a grievance. Kirk did this on national TV Saturday night on ABC. Take a listen.
Now, Kirk, how much of this softens the blow of that Michigan loss? More work to do, right, for folks to forgive and forget that one?
I can't speak on behalf of the lunatic fringe. I'm not sure how they operate. God forbid they lose to Oregon. They may want to fire him again. First Take tried to fire him. They thought he was done. So I'll be excited to see what they talk about on Monday after this performance.
I give Kirk credit in this aspect. He is not afraid to go after his own. He went after his own fans in Ohio State and went after his own network in ESPN and First Take. He's just unloading the clip on everybody. But that's the guy talking about airing out your grievances. Boy, was he upset. Good for Kirk. Again, I'm a Ryan Day guy, I will say. And not just because I'm a Penn State fan, and that gives them maybe the best chance to beat Ohio State. They haven't done it yet. I know there's a lot of Michigan fans that want to see Ryan Day on Ohio State's sideline for as long as possible because they don't think Ohio State can beat Michigan as long as Day is there. But Ryan Day is a good coach. Whoever needs to hear it, I don't know who needs to hear it, listening here, he's a damn good coach. If you have a sports grievance you want to air as we celebrate Festivus here, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Chicago Johnny, who, of course, is calling from Las Vegas. What up, Chicago Johnny?
Festivus goes out to the McCaskey family. And the reason why is because they hire nothing but reject head coaches and reject general managers. And I have got documented proof. I can back up what I'm saying. For the last 12 years, the Bears have had 4 head coaches and 4 general managers. Now, those 4 head coaches, where are they today? Not one of them had got a head coaching job in anywhere in the NFL.
Right.
Where are the general managers? Not one of them are a general manager at any in the NFL. So they hire nothing but rejects. You know why? Because the owners know that the Bears are cash cow. No matter if they finish first or if they finish last. They're a cash cow and always will be. And so they refuse to spend the money. That's all I got to say about those guys.
Let them have it, Johnny. I was hoping to go a little stronger. They appreciate the call. But, I mean, you kind of outlines, a problem with owners in sports in general. A lot of what you talked about sounded a lot like what's going on with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, where Jerry hires incompetency, in part because he can control them because they won't speak out or take attention away from him. They let Jerry run the show because no competent coach would ever sign up to allow Jerry to speak the way he does and build the roster the way he does. But it happens because he gets pushovers. Yeah, different results, I get it. But Chicago, Johnny, you and the Cowboys, pretty similar there. All right, when we return, we'll give you a name and highlight not give you a name, I would say the name. It's Jayden Daniels, and we'll highlight his greatness next. It's Ryan Hickey right here, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's up all night with you.
We could do this all night.
Welcome aboard. It's Hick at Night with Ryan Hickey.
And welcome on into Hick at Night. Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your Sunday. If you missed any part of the show so far through the first 3 hours, check out the Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your pods. So it was a fun Week 16. It had some good finishes, some interesting games. By far, I think the headline from today, the biggest, best game that everyone's been talking about today and we'll continue to talk about tomorrow, was the incredible Commanders comeback, 36-33 victory they had over the Eagles, led by their stud rookie, Jayden Daniels. I thought today Jayden Daniels proved he's not a franchise quarterback. He's a franchise changer. And he's not only leading the Commanders to the playoffs this year, I think he's leading a turnaround to where now this team is actually respectable and viewed as competent. You know, this is bigger than just a win on the field or just a good season. He is changing the thought of the last 30 years for the most part, the stink that's been on the Commanders in large part because their former owner, and now with new ownership and now led by their stud rookie quarterback, we are looking at the Commanders and looking at their future totally differently than we ever have really the last 30 years or so. That is so incredible to watch what a young rookie quarterback who should be so overwhelmed with so much on his plate, what he's been able to do so far this season. And it reminds me a lot of Andrew Luck. I was a Colts fan watching the transition from Peyton to Andrew. And it was only 1 year, but they went 2-14. Team was a disaster. And all of a sudden, you bring in Andrew Luck, and he turns the team around immediately. They go 11-5, they make the playoffs. And all of a sudden, you're a Colts fan, you look at, wow, this roster's not very good. But damn, as long as we got 12 out there, we have a chance in every game. And that's how it feels like kind of watching Jayden Daniels and the Commanders. This roster is better than the roster Andrew Luck had in his early days in Indy. But you watch the Commanders, and you're like, yeah, as long as Daniels is out there, this team has a chance. They're never out of it. And it's similar to Andrew Luck in the sense that one man has changed, truly, the entire trajectory of a franchise. That is so hard to do, almost really impossible to ask of a quarterback, let alone a rookie quarterback. But that's what Jayden is doing. And that's why when you watch this game today and this comeback leading to a Commanders victory, I thought for sure today he stamped what has been one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. Where today he had 5 touchdowns, totaled 339 yards of total offense, and he was able to help the Commanders not only win a game and stop the 10-game winning streak for Philly, but also in the process of doing so, put up 36 points, which is the most the Eagles have allowed all season long. And this has been the best defense in the league since the Eagles had the bye, which was back in week 4. So for a now, let's call it 2-month stretch, the Eagles' defense has been one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL. And Daniels carved him up. And also, by the way, did so by also shooting himself and the team in the foot. For me, the most impressive part of his performance today wasn't the stats we just gave you, the 5 touchdowns, over 300 yards total offense, the 36 points. For me, the most impressive part of his game today was the resiliency he showed. Because this was a guy, and this was an offense, I should say, first and foremost, that turned the ball over 5 times. Think about that. It's so hard to win in the NFL in general. It's so hard to beat the Eagles just when you're playing at your best. Let alone now you're going to turn the ball over 5 times in a game. Twice Jayden Daniels had interceptions, the second of which should have ended the game. You throw a pick, just over 2 minutes to go, the game should be over. We've seen the Eagles run out the clock like clockwork. Game should have been done. And to the defense's credit, they get a stop. A little lucky with a drop, should have been caught. But hey, you know what? You get the break when you take it. And the making of a good quarterback, the making of a good team is capitalizing on breaks when you get them. And so Daniels, who got the ball back under 2 minutes to go, no timeouts, what did he do? Calmly and coolly march the Commanders right down the field and score the game-winning touchdown with less than 10 seconds to go. And so to not only do that, but do it after throwing an interception that should have cost you the game, like it's so few quarterbacks I think would be able to bounce back from what should have been a back-breaking, game-ending interception. I think a lot of quarterbacks have become gun-shy. Would all of a sudden start to play conservative. I don't want to lose the game, so I'm going to take it easy. Okay, just threw an interception. Let me just make sure I don't put the ball in harm's way again. He's getting the ball, coming out there, a gamer, still aggressive, fearless. Like, you either have that or you don't. You can't coach that. And Daniels, he has it, man. He has it. So a really impressive game, and now I think really stamps, right, and puts any discussion or any debate of Rookie of the Year to bed. Brock Bowers had a tremendous year, went over 1,000 yards. He could rewrite the record books he already has in terms of receptions for a tight end. He's chasing Puka Nakua's rookie record for receptions as well here the last 2 weeks. Brock Bowers has had a tremendous season for a rookie tight end. Bo Nix has had a great year, and he right now is on track to lead the Broncos to the playoffs as well. But after today, after this season, it's over. The debate is done. Jayden Daniels is winning Rookie of the Year. Let's take it, though, a step further. Let's bring it to the big stage here, because I think Jayden Daniels deserves to be in the MVP conversation. Right there along with Lamar, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, because he literally is living out what the MVP stands for. Most valuable player. Look at the value he's bringing to the Commanders. Again, first and foremost, we told you about the value off the field. This franchise is now viewed differently in large part because of Jayden Daniels' play, where now that franchise is respectable. There's actually a bright future. How about this? You ready for this, Commanders fans? You haven't heard this word in a long time. Hope. There is real hope that you can actually latch onto because of Jayden Daniels. So he's changing the trajectory and the feelings around the organization. He led the Commanders to their first 10-win season since 2012. And with at least one more win here against the Falcons starting next weekend, or at the Cowboys in Week 18, if the Commanders can get to 11 wins, it would be the first season in which Washington had at least 11 wins since 1991. The last time they won a Super Bowl. Think about how long that is. I wasn't even alive for that. I've never seen a I've never seen a Washington team win 11 games in my lifetime. Jayden Daniels has the opportunity to do that here starting this week. He's doing things this franchise has never seen. And he's also now helping to elevate an offense that, it's not like the entire offense has been overhauled and redone, right? Terry McLaurin's been there for a while. Brian Robinson Jr. right, has been there before Jayden got there. A lot of the players contributing, Diami Brown, a lot of the players contributing for the Commanders have been there for a little bit. And Jayden's coming in and now elevating that offense where they're the fourth highest scoring offense in the league. He's not along for the ride. He's taking what have been talented players but have not been able to achieve consistent success. Now they are tops or near the top in the league in a lot of offensive categories. So you look at what he's doing on the field and off the field. Like when you talk about value, right? If you really want to talk about MVP in terms of bringing real value, not just the best player and the best team, there's a real case right now for Jayden Daniels to win the MVP. I'm not saying he should win it. I think he should be in the conversation. I think at least now down the stretch here, the last 2 weeks, when you talk about MVP with Lamar, Josh Allen, Saquon, also in the same breath should be Jayden. He's played that well. He's delivered hope. He's been that consistent. He's doing it on a big stage. He's doing so consistently. I think Jayden Daniels deserves MVP consideration for how well he's played this year and the hope he's brought. Someone who maybe didn't say that, but could agree in the general principle, is Terry McLaurin, who's seen a lot of quarterback play. Unfortunately for Terry, mostly bad quarterback play. After the game, raved about the poise he has seen from his rookie quarterback.
Man, he's so poised. No matter if we're making plays or we're missing plays, he just has a way to stay even keel that I've never seen that from a rookie at any position, let alone quarterback. And he has utmost confidence in the guys around him. And he has a way of just making the right plays when it's time.
He makes good decisions, fearless in the pocket. Now it feels like the game's already, is still in his rookie year, still starting to slow down for him. This is like, he's a rare breed where you can have one guy, one quarterback, single-handedly turn an organization around. That's what I think Jayden Daniels has done this season. And that's why, for me, I think that deserves MVP consideration. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Do you think Jayden Daniels belongs right now, with 2 weeks to go, in the MVP consideration? I think the race is still open, by the way. For how well Josh Allen has played, for how well Lamar Jackson has played, I don't think there's a clear runaway winner. I think it's going to come down to the wire. And I think Jayden Daniels should be in that mix, should be in that consideration to win the award as a freshman, as a rookie. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Does Jayden Daniels belong in the MVP discussion alongside some of the guys we listed in Lamar, Josh, Saquon? You can also tweet me your thoughts here, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. Let's go to Justin calling from Maryland. What's up, Justin?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you, man?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind?
I just want to say today's game, the Eagles and Commanders game, was possibly one of the best games of the year. Just want to know if you think that game is up there in the top 3 games of the year. And I'm an Eagles fan, man, so I'll say, man, the only reason we lost that game was because Jalen Hurts got injured. Kenny Pickett did his thing, but it was a rough game, man. What a game, though, man. What a game. Jayden Daniels is a dog, man.
No, he is. And I think, Justin, I appreciate the call. I think that right there should highlight just how impressive a year has been. Eagles fan calling in, giving praise. And honestly, I thought he was a Commanders fan with how he was talking about this game. I mean, it's rare you see the losing side, right, want to talk about game of the year. Usually you want to always, kind of reserve that. You expect that from fans of winning teams, right? Because usually you're happy about how great of a game that was. You want to relive it, right? You don't really hear that too often, or that case being made too often for fans of losing teams. So I respect that, Justin, for you. In terms of greatest games of the year, I mean, this one is back and forth. This one's up there for sure. I mean, I thought Bills-Rams a few weeks ago was outstanding. I'm definitely missing at least a game or two that is pretty much a layup. I mean, the Chiefs have played all close games. Ravens game week 1 was crazy, back and forth. Like, I got to actually truly sit down and think about some of the best games of the year. This is a possibility. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a guarantee. It was kind of sloppy for a large part, like I said, with Jalen Hurts out. They got Hurts out a little bit as well. Kenny Pickett. I would have went to Tanner McKee. Pickett's fine. He's okay. I mean, look, the game at the end, again, threw a good pass, catch the ball, and they win the game. But Jayden Daniels is part of again, some of the best teams on the Chiefs we've talked about this a lot. Some of the best teams get breaks. And sometimes you should lose and the other team fails to put you away. In this case, the Eagles on third down had a chance with 2 minutes to go to put the Commanders away, get one more first down, bleed the clock, and run out of there with their 11th straight victory. A drop pass all of a sudden opened the door, forced them to kick a field goal, and they had to go the length of the field to win the game. And that's exactly what Jayden Daniels did. That's what great players, that's what great teams do. Capitalize on mistakes. And that's why I think if you're Jayden Daniels, Jayden belongs here in the conversation. 855-212-4227. Kevin is called from California. What's up, Kev? Hello, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
I'm calling about the Jayden Daniels. Like I said, I'm a 49er fan. I've never really bothered to watch too many of the Commander games or follow the Commanders. But once I've seen him play the one time, I've tuned into more Commander games to watch this guy play.
Interesting.
I would say a few years back, I'd say Lamar Jackson was probably one of the best quarterbacks. But now I believe that Jayden Daniels will pass him and be a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
You saying for their career?
Career-wise, yes. I say in the next 2 to 3 years, he's going to be a mind-blowing quarterback, and the Commanders will be in the talk for Super Bowls to come.
I appreciate the call, Kevin. I think that's a hot take. I've been accused of being a hot take artist, throwing hot takes out there myself. I think that's a hot take. Saying that right now, Jayden Daniels have a better career than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's won 2 MVPs. Honestly, you look at his numbers this year. Let me update them after the Steelers game on Saturday. But he came into this week with 34 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's going to set career highs in passing yards, passing touchdowns, passer rating, fewest interceptions. For a guy who's won 2 MVPs, I hope you people realize, he's having the best year of his career. So we could be talking about, depending on how these 2 weeks go here, because I think it's still open. We could be talking about a 3-time MVP winner, Lamar Jackson. To say right now that Jayden Daniels have a better career. Now, if you want to say, look, if he wins a Super Bowl and Lamar never does one Super Bowl outweigh 4 or 5 MVPs? We can have that discussion. But to set that bar, I think, is extremely unfair for Jayden. So far, with what he's doing, he's uplifted the Commanders, and let's just make sure this keeps on going. But the biggest thing is, right, consistency. And we've seen, let's say in the case of C.J. Stroud last year, him do something similar where he helped elevate the Texans, who were downtrodden for a while. After the whole Deshaun Watson, I'll call the entire situation a fiasco because it wasn't just about what happened off the field. He was also holding out because he was done before everything came out. He was done with the Texans, so that whole thing was a mess. But the Texans were viewed in a poor light because of how they handled a lot of things. And he came in right there year 1, led him to the playoffs, won a playoff game. And now you're saying in year 2, okay, the consistency is not there. A lot of what we saw in his rookie year is not exactly lining up in year number 2. I'm pumping the brakes when it comes to Lamar comparisons for Jayden Daniels. But so far, at least for this season, I think when you talk about the conversation for MVP, I think Jayden belongs in there with Lamar. If you don't think if you don't think Jayden Daniels belongs in the MVP conversation, not saying he's a front runner, just saying in the mix, in the conversation as a candidate, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. All right, we'll get your thoughts here. Also, when we return, speaking of rookie quarterbacks, let's highlight another rookie who made his starting debut today in Michael Penix Jr. I'll tell you why the much criticized draft pick of Michael Penix Jr., why the Falcons are actually proven right today. They're proven right. We'll do that when we do return. It's Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I don't wanna call it off, but you don't wanna call it love. You only wanna be the one that I call baby. And 'cause I need boys and boys, shoot another shot to stop the feeling. You could say it's just the way you are. Make a new excuse, not a stupid reason. Go away, well, go away, yeah, to stop the world, just to stop the feeling. Go away, well, go away, yeah, to stop the world.
It's Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. Apologies for my voice here. It's starting to go a little bit. I've been trying to drink some tea, some water. I think what's getting me here is the fact that I was outside yesterday in the cold for 8-9 hours. Went to the Penn State game, Penn State FSU, which was, I'm very glad I went. It was cold, but let me tell you, it was absolutely worth it. First playoff game in Beaver Stadium. Was not sure what it was going to be like. A lot of discussions about not a lot of fans showing up. It's how cold is it? It's noon. It was awesome. Electric atmosphere. Obviously a great win for Penn State. Boring, I'm sure, if you're not a Penn State fan, to watch when it's 38-3 was, I think, 28-0 at halftime, I think it was. So yeah, not a very competitive game, but I'm so glad the college football playoff expanded and thus was able to put playoff games on home campuses. Like this is such a great addition for college football, because one of the things that makes it different than the NFL and different than any other sport is the home field advantage, the electricity, the pomp, the circumstance, everything surrounding a home playoff game on campus is unmatched. Unmatched to anything else you see in sports. And it always drove me crazy that the biggest games of the college football season would always be decided on neutral sites. And so I'm glad now that playoff games are being played on campus. It was an awesome scene at Notre Dame Stadium with the snow coming down and touchdown Jesus in the background for a night game. It was so cool. I mean, I was going to say it was a great atmosphere. It was a great site at Ohio Stadium. But shout out to Tennessee fans. Look, Ohio State won the game. Clearly, it was the better team, dominated that entire game. Good for Ohio State, good for Ryan Day for their bounce back there after the last time we saw them, that embarrassing loss to Michigan. But also credit to Tennessee fans. Their team may have not showed up and they got outclassed, but their fandom did not. There was a lot of orange in Ohio State, and there was talk on social media of a Vol takeover. That talk was not just air. It was reality. So that was awesome to see. So I'm glad that common sense prevailed a little bit, at least getting, home games or I should say playoff games on home campuses. I wish we did it more. And that's the only thing with a bye that sucks. If you're an Oregon fan, if you're a Georgia fan, I think you should be allowed to get a home game. Honestly, I think the only game that should be played on a neutral site should be the national title game. If you want to tell me the Final Four, the semifinal, fine. We can listen and have a discussion. But really, every game should be played on home campuses except the national title game. So while you don't have to play this weekend and you got healthy and you rested up, you don't have to risk losing. It does suck if you're an Oregon fan, Boise State fan, Arizona State fan, Georgia fan that you don't get a home playoff game. Because as you saw, that home atmosphere for all four teams had a huge impact. Huge impact. So if my voice starts to go here towards the end of the show, my apologies. We got outside. One of my friends had a tailgate. Parents set up a great tent. Had the whole thing. A little tent, had some walls put up there, had some heaters inside. So we were actually pretty warm, a little set up outside in the tailgate lots. But we were outside, I guess, starting at 7:15 a.m. is when we left our Airbnb, and we didn't get into a bar after the game until 4:30, something like that. So all that time outside. By the way, I give you Buffalo fans, Packers fans, newfound respect. That was easily the coldest game I've ever attended outside. It was I think the real feel was maybe in the high teens, 18, 19. The wind was at our back, so it wasn't too bad, but still, wind didn't help. And man, was it cold. Again, we didn't leave, tough, not to brag. My dad and I, we went. We were tough. We never thought about leaving, had a few hot chocolates. I put some hand warmers in my boots. That was really the only area my body was cold was my feet, thankfully. So dressed well. We manned out. Even with the blowout score, we stayed till the end. Did not leave. So we braved the elements. But boy, you watch today, where I think it was 8 degrees in Buffalo. The real field was 1. You saw some Buffalo Bills fans shirtless. Newfound respect. That is toughness that I will never, ever, no matter the amount of booze, will ever be able to match. That's a breed amongst their own. Those are the true diehards right there. One quick thing actually here, just to continue on Penn State, give my alma mater a shout out. Shout out to the volleyball team. If you haven't watched women's volleyball, you should. It is an electric sport. It is fun. The matches are great. Penn State just won the national title earlier today by beating Louisville. In Louisville, talk about it was supposed to be a neutral site, but Louisville is one of the best teams. They were chosen to host the event. Just so happened that they were also in the national title game. And so a big national title victory for Penn State women's volleyball, and also a huge victory here for their head coach, Katie Schumacher-Crawley, who, if you haven't heard of her, fine, fair, I get it. But she made history not only becoming the first women's volleyball head coach to ever win a national title, but did so while battling breast cancer. A really inspirational story where she was unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer back in September, still continued to coach. She found inspiration from her players found inspiration from her. She's been coaching this entire time. You talk about just a brave woman to still be fighting this deadly disease and then still have the time, the energy, the focus to help coach a team that wins a national title. I hope that's not understated, not lost on you, just how tough that is. So really happy for her. Obviously really happy for my alma mater and the program. An awesome site. Great for them. I want to give them a shout out here. I know they can get lost on NFL Sunday, But shout out to the Penn State women's volleyball team, national champions this season. All right, it is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Really fast here before we get back to your thoughts. The Falcons were today proven right in drafting Michael Penix Jr. back in April. There's a lot of criticism for it. A lot of people said, what are they doing? How can you do this to Kirk? Why would you ever sign a quarterback in free agency, then draft him? They were proven right because they were preparing for this exact situation to happen. Right, what's the old saying? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. If you think about it, right, they signed Kirk Cousins, which you could argue, okay, he's the answer for the next 2 or 3 years. You're going all in on Kirk, and you hope that he can find magic and maybe lead you to the playoffs, win the division, get hot in the playoffs, and maybe go somewhere that he's never been, the Falcons not been in a long time, right? That's the goal. But don't you also need to have a backup plan? And I think that's why a lot of teams, I feel like, fail at quarterback, is they don't have an adequate backup plan. Sort of, hey, if plan A, like Kirk Cousins is plan A, what if plan A doesn't work out? It was a 35, 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury in a new system. What if our plan A does not work out well? Do we have a plan B? Do we have a backup plan? Most backup quarterbacks are not very good. Falcons said, you know what? We have plan A, but damn, this Penix guy's pretty good. You know, maybe we can use him, have him sit behind Kirk for a year, 2 years, 3 years, see how things go. But if things, don't progress the way we want them to with Kirk, we can always go to this guy because we really like him. Like that to me is why that pick made sense. If you really like a quarterback, like the Falcons, I don't think they went in to the draft thinking, we got to get a quarterback. They went through the process and then realized, oh, wow, like Penix is good. Like, man, even though we just signed Kirk, we got to have him. That should highlight how high the Falcons were in him. So if they were all in on Penix, why should they not draft him then? Like, why just draft, a defensive player? What's that going to do to help Kirk? Nothing. Is there another receiver making, Kirk's season any better this year? Probably not. Kirk led the league in interceptions. I don't think another, receiver, an offensive lineman, or a defensive player is changing how he played this year. So what you did was get yourself a backup plan to where you gave yourself as much insurance as possible to where if plan A fails, you have plan B and your season and your future is not ruined. And now all of a sudden, if you're the Falcons, again, it's one game. He did not play, he played fine. I thought he had good command, looked in control. The game looked like it was slowing down for him. It wasn't exactly like he was helter-skelter and overwhelmed and drinking out of a fire hose. But if he continues to progress, if he can lead the Falcons to the playoffs, think about how we'll be talking about the Falcons next year and beyond if Penix can finish this season strong versus riding out the string of Kirk. Probably not. Maybe they still win today just because the Giants stink, but do they beat the Commanders next week on the road? Probably not with how Kirk is throwing these interceptions. And miss the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, what? You go on Kirk Cousins, you miss the playoffs in year number one, you still got 3 years of them left, and you have really no answer. There's no one in free agency you're going to sign, right, to compete with Kirk. You're going to be too far away from drafting anybody. Like you're in the middle of nowhere. You're in no man's land. You're screwed. They gave themselves a plan B, and they gave themselves a backup plan, and I think more teams should do it. The Packers do it, and they always draft a year or two ahead of what they should with Favre, Rodgers, Love. Like, look at the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. They drafted him in the second round, right? Even though they had Carson Wentz. That worked out pretty well. Like, team, this is not uncanny what the Falcons did. Maybe that high in round number one, but you see teams draft quarterbacks despite having what you think is a franchise quarterback. All of a sudden, a year or two later, things don't work out, and now that guy you thought, okay, would just be a placeholder, maybe, whatever, developmental QB, all of a sudden now is the guy. Brock Purdy's a little different, right? Like Mr. Irrelevant. Again, you thought Trey Lance was the guy, but you had Jimmy G. You trade up to get Trey Lance. You draft Brock Purdy. Just, all right, let's just get this guy in here. And all of a sudden now Brock Purdy's the guy. So you look around the league, more quarterbacks than you think were afterthoughts, if you will, on their team or another team. It's not uncommon to get a quarterback and have a successful quarterback that wasn't exactly plan A. That's why, for me, like the Falcons, I think were proven right by Kirk had a bad year. Now, by drafting Penix, not only do they have a guy that they believe in, can still, be the face of their franchise and take this team to new heights going forward, but also they can move off of a mistake that was Kirk Cousins, cut bait, and still keep their future open. Broncos did it, right? With Russ, they incurred the biggest dead cap hit in NFL history. Cut Russ, and I would say they're better for it. Having a plan B is never a bad thing. That's why I give the Falcons, I never really argued with the pick. It was confusing at first, but the more you thought about it, I understood and agreed with it. And so for a lot of fans and media that thought the Falcons were stupid, thought they made the wrong pick, my question to you is, what do you got to say now? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll get your thoughts. We'll also do Sunday Scaries when we return here as well, including a shopping spree gone wrong. We'll tell you about that after this latest sports update from Peter Schwartz.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And we will kick off with Sunday Night Football. The Bucs were trailing the Cowboys by 2 points late in the fourth quarter, and they had the ball.
Here's the snap. Mayfield back to pass. Looking left. In trouble. Hit in the backfield. And he will flip it out to White, who makes the catch. Breaks a tackle across the 30. Out to the 32. The ball came out. And the Cowboys have it. The Cowboys took it away.
Ryan Ratke on Westwood 1. Cowboys over the Bucs 26-24. The Falcons back in the driver's seat with that Buccaneers loss in the NFC South after the Falcons beat the Giants 34-7. Now to Orchard Park.
Made from the shotgun, throws it out in the flat, and it's incomplete. Is it a lateral pass and a free ball? It's in the end zone. Is it a lateral? Yes, it's a touchdown. The Bills recover the ball in the end zone. Taron Johnson jumped on the football for the touchdown.
Chris Brown had the call on Bills radio as the Bills beat the Pats 24-21. Elsewhere, Dolphins over the Niners 29-17, Raiders 19, Jaguars 14. The Commanders get by the Eagles 36-33. Vikings 27, Seahawks 24. The Rams over the Jets 19-9, Colts 38, Titans 30. The Lions are 13-2. They beat the Bears 34-17. Panthers in overtime over the Cardinals 36-30. And the Bengals over the Browns 24-6. NBA, Nikola Jokic a triple-double, 27 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. In overtime, Nuggets over the Pelicans 132-129. Rockets top the Raptors 114-110. The Pacers over the Kings 122-95. Indiana with a 70-point second half. College basketball, number 3 Iowa State over Morgan State 99-72. Number 6 Alabama beat Kent State 81-54. I'm Peter Schwartz.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Watch the breakdown.
It's Ryan Hickey with it right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your evening / morning here on the show. We will get back to your thoughts here in 1 second, but maybe this week is the one that is the outlier here, but right? But most times, or most of the time, I should say, every single Sunday around the end of the show, the Sunday Scaries always kind of flow in. Oh, work's the next day. I'm still ready, still want some of the weekend to be here, not ready to deal with my boss or idiot coworkers or whatever, clients that are annoying, right? We've all been there, where you start to dread the end of the weekend and the start of the work week yet again. Again, maybe this week is a little different. Everyone's on holiday. If so, I'm jealous. Enjoy the week off, or at least the next few days off for sure. But for those working, I feel instinct. So to make you feel a little bit better as we get set for another work week to begin, let's highlight a few people who have it worse than you. It is time for Sunday Scaries.
The weekend is winding down. Hey, Ryan, who's got the Sunday Scaries this week?
As a reminder, this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Who has the Sunday Scaries this week? Let's start with a group of people out in California who attacked a poor mother and daughter at a mall over, you guessed it, a parking spot. Yep, that's right. We are fighting because I guess the parking spots out in California are so in demand that now we got to throw fisticuffs if you get one. It's a fight to the death. It is the Hunger Games out there. So according to the New York Post, a mom and a daughter were driving around. Parking was tough. They see an open spot, and they're about to pull in. And I guess a door of one of the adjacent cars was open, kind of blocking the open spot. So the mom kind of gives a little courtesy, honk, honk, hey, I'm coming through here. Maybe close the door before I rip it off. For whatever reason, that set off the people in the car where they get out and start attacking this poor woman and daughter. Punching her, beating her, 4 women, 1 man. Get out. They drag her out of the car. They steal her purse. There's like $3,000 in there. All over a parking spot. What are we doing? How could, this is behavior that is truly criminal. Well, I hope they have identified them. I hope they should be absolutely going to jail. No way to act. This is just inhumane. I don't know. I get it. Look, the mall is a crazy place. I don't know why people even go to malls these days. I thought they're all closed for the most part. I guess some open, so I guess people still do in-person shopping. Go figure. Feels very out of vogue at this point with the way society is and how easy it is to order online. But hey, I guess people do what you want. And for whatever reason, you go to the mall and all of a sudden now you're in a bad mood. Look, to go to jail, get arrested because you wanted to fight a mother and daughter over a parking spot, yeah, you got it pretty bad. That group of people, those heinous group of people, they got the Sunday Scaries. You know who else has the Sunday Scaries, apparently? Hot people. Yeah, you listening. Hot girls, hot guys. Apparently being hot is now a detriment. So there's a few stories around where people are getting excluded from events because they are quote-unquote too hot. So the New York Post spoke with one woman by the name of, is it Mariana Smith? I believe it is Mariana Smith, who is claiming she is not invited to a Christmas party because she's too hot. The quote she said was, quote, "I've been banned from Christmas dinner because the women think I'll steal their men. They're worried I might tempt their husbands and boyfriends." There's another anecdote in this story where a woman was kicked out of a bridal party because she was, quote unquote, too lusty looking. I guess it's a crime to be hot. So you know what? Win for us ugly folks, baby. If you are bad looking, I guess now we can at least rely on, hey, we can get still invited to places.
Hot lips, Hickey.
You know, I'd much rather be ugly and be invited to go hang out with friends and be allowed to go to Christmas dinner than be too hot and be isolated. I guess, for those hot folks out there, you got the Sunday Scaries. No one wants to be around you. Go figure. We are in a world where it's actually a detriment to be attractive. Welcome to 2024. Man, I may be ugly, but damn, at least I'm allowed to hang out with my friends. I'll take that every day. I'd rather be ugly and have friends than hot and no friends. Man, go figure. Well, if you're single, find out these people. It sounds like they need some loving and some friends around Christmas. Not too late. Not too late to change their Christmas. That's for sure. Finally, here, last group of people who have the Sunday Scaries. SMU fans. Not because they lost to Penn State, got blown out. This is crazy. So there was a decent amount of SMU fans that decided they're going to fly up via private jet on Saturday morning to State College to watch their beloved Mustangs take on Penn State. In this group, again, multiple private jets, is Bryson DeChambeau, right? Obviously, you know him as the golfer. And Craig James, former outstanding running back for SMU. One problem with being super rich and going to a school where there's a ton of super rich people like SMU is I guess everybody in Dallas had the same idea. So many private jets were flying into the State College airport that's very tiny to begin with, that there's not enough room to land all these private jets from Dallas so that, they can get out and go to the game. So a few private jets, including Bryson DeChambeau and Craig James's private jet, had to get rerouted to Williamsport, which is about, it's an hour, but it's also in the country, so maybe a little bit longer than that, hour and a half from Penn State. So they got rerouted, dropped off in Williamsport, and had to take a bus. Now, it's a luxury bus, so please, they weren't, on a coach bus like we would be with their knees in their chest, but still had to take a coach bus from Williamsport to State College. They missed the first quarter of the game. Now, again, there wasn't much of a game. You missed some of the pick sixes, so I guess, okay, fine. Would you rather not be there for it? But still think about it. I know they're rich, but you're paying a lot of money to charter a private jet, to fly up to go watch your Mustangs go play in their first ever college football playoff game, and now you get rerouted because so many people had the same idea that you now had to miss the first quarter driving because you unexpectedly had to take a detour. That sucks. Like I actually do feel bad for you. That sucks. Well, I've always tried to be on time in general. I always hate being late. But especially for sporting events, there's nothing on this earth that gets me more mad than missing the start of a game. I would much rather be in a stadium 2 hours early than be 2 minutes late and miss the first play or the first drive or the first inning of a game. Like, I can't stand getting to it. I would have been losing my mind having to watch the game on my phone, which, by the way, Central Pennsylvania, not a lot of service. I hope that this, maybe the bus had some Wi-Fi in it, but if you're relying on your LTE to stream a game in Central Pennsylvania going to watch, you are not getting that game, or you're getting a lot of buffering. So I would be losing it if I was one of those SMU fans. But hey, I guess Bryson DeChambeau is rich, private jetted back home. He had a hole-in-one over his house. Things are good for him. Sorry the ponies couldn't get. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. I'm glad the ponies weren't able to make you happy. But man, hell of a way to start the playoff push there by missing the first quarter of the game. That sucks. Speaking of sucking, that sucks that the show's over. I was having fun just getting started here. And that's all we got. It's a really big thank you to you. Thank you for tuning in and making us a part of your Sunday evening. If you missed any part of the show, check out the Hick At Nite podcast feed, Night spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your pods. Also, you can check out my YouTube page as well. Ryan Hickey posts a lot of videos on that channel, both from this show and also just throughout the week as well. So, good place to get content from yours truly if that's what you like. Big thank you to Chris for producing tonight as well. Have a great holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. We'll be back before the New Year, so I won't say Happy New Year. We'll be back next Sunday. But enjoy the holiday week. Hopefully, if you have time off, enjoy that. Enjoy spending it with family. Hopefully, Santa, get you some good gifts and treat you well. Hopefully, you're on the nice list this year, this year as well. Don't go anywhere. Dave Smith is next. This has been Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Sunday on Hick at Night.
You're in a 5-minute break.